I'm here with Billy Gunn, sitting next to me right now.
You are kidding me. You're going to introduce me a lot better than that, right?
Well, okay.
That was about like watching grass grow. Let's be a little bit more enthusiastic. Let's get into this. This is going to be your best interview of the day. Here we go. Try it again.
I am here with one half of the greatest tag team of all time, Shogun. I am here with Billy Gunn.
Shogun?
Big Show and
That was me and Big Show.
Right.
I thought you were talking about me and Brian.
Sure, I'm a mark.
Okay.
I'm a mark.
That's okay.
I'm a no good mark.
You can admit that. That's fine. We got plenty of those in here. It's fine. It's all good.
He looks absolutely ridiculous. I can't take him seriously in that mask. Who wears a mask like that?
What is going on, everybody? It is a Thursday night, November 18, 2021. I am the Solomonster, and this is the 14-year anniversary celebration live on YouTube. I am the Solomonster. I want to thank everybody for joining me here tonight on a very special occasion. We are celebrating 14 years of the Solomonster Sounds Off podcast. Of course, the YouTube channel came a little bit later on, but can you believe it? 14 years that I've been talking about this crap. That's a long time to be talking about WWE. And now AEW, then of course in there you got some Impact, you got some Ring of Honor, you got some Lucha Underground. We've talked about a lot of wrestling over the years. And we have quite a few people who are tuned in live tonight who have been joining me since day number 1. Including some people who sent in email questions. So, welcome. If you are new to the channel, I hope you'll stick around. I hope you'll hit that sub button if you are not a subscriber or become a channel member. We have a lot of channel members joining us tonight as well. Super chats are open. Let me explain how this is going to work. Because really, we're going to be a little loosey-goosey here. Nothing overly formal here on the stream. We are going to do Survivor Series predictions for the pay-per-view coming up this Sunday. And we actually have some late-breaking news on the women's elimination match that I'm going to be covering here in a little bit. So we'll get to that. We'll do Survivor Series predictions. I'm also going to be taking some email questions that I have pulled together from some people who have emailed me, thesolomonster@gmail.com. A lot of great questions. Can't get to them all, but I figure we'll get to a bunch of those. And of course, we'll go in and out of your Super Chat questions. If you want to support the channel and also get your question read here on the air, Super Chats are the way to go. You'll see them popping up on your screen. There they are, right there in the corner. Various Super Chats. We have special donation amounts in the description down below for those who are interested. Hey, French Fry Slut just became a Sound Off superstar. One of my favorite channel members. French Fry Slut. Glad that they could join us tonight. So that's the plan. Survivor Series predictions are your questions, and we'll go back and forth, and we'll hang out for a little bit. I got my my Stoli and a little bit of OJ here to celebrate the occasion. I don't do that very often, but for you guys, I made an exception. Kane in the chat said he wore his tuxedo for nothing. Well, at least you look good. At least you look good. So why don't we talk a little bit about Survivor Series here. By the way, everybody who joined me last night, we had a few more people than usual for the Dynamite stream. Big episode of Dynamite. I thought a great episode of AEW Dynamite last night. A lot of fun. We had a lot of fun on the stream after as well. And this Sunday, episode 731 of the podcast. We'll have some fun on there as well. WWE Survivor Series is live from the Barclays Center in Brooklyn. I know that place. Live in Brooklyn this Sunday. And actually, you know what? Before we even get into that, I don't want to gloss over this whole anniversary thing, because each year we kind of hang out here on YouTube, and I get a lot of very nice emails and tweets from people wishing me a happy anniversary and telling me how long they've been listening to the show. And I love, people when they write in to let me know, how long have you been listening to the show or watching the streams here on YouTube? Some people are brand new. Some people have been around for a very long time. And I love getting messages about that, because when I hear from somebody who's been listening to the show for 8 years and they live in the Middle East, it still just blows my mind. Think about the reach that this show has as really a wrestling podcast. I mean, the word wrestling is not anywhere in the name, which was done on purpose, by the way, so I could talk about pretty much anything I want. But I have met a lot of people at our meetups and at various wrestling events. I have become friendly with a lot of people, made a lot of friends over the years through this show. And it has really enriched my life in ways that I never thought imaginable when I started doing this back in 2007. A lot of you have heard me tell the story before about how the show got started. I'll give you the Cliff Notes version in case you're new. This started as a favor to a friend who ran a wrestling news website. You might have heard of it, SEScoops.com, which is still kicking to this very day. Bookmark them, SE Scoops. Shout out to Webmaster Mike. But we were looking for some content that we could add to the website. And I said, hey, why don't I do an audio show? Back then, they were audio shows. I feel like such an old fart. Weren't podcasts back then. They were audio shows. And mine wasn't the first, but mine was kind of one of the early ones, before everybody and their mother started doing a podcast. And so that was my foot in the door. I had the advantage of being able to start with a little bit of an audience through the website, and just it continued to grow and grow and grow. And eventually we split away. We went off and did our own thing. And it just took off to places I never thought would be imaginable. And it has gotten to a point now in my life where I'm able to do this show. Obviously I do other things as well, but I'm able to do this show and support myself and make a living doing what I love to do. I genuinely love doing this show. And it's great to get the support and the super chats and PayPal. And when I see a new channel member has joined the channel, to get some of those channel perks, it gets me excited and I love seeing it. But it genuinely, I don't know that I would be as happy as I am right now with the way things are for me, on a professional level, a creative level, were it not for this show. I feel like I'd be fucking bored, frankly. It's an outlet for me to express my opinion and to interact with people on social media and here on these streams, and I am grateful for it. I cannot thank you enough. And I have to also, I caught him. I caught him out of the corner of my eye there. Professor John Gotti, I spy you. The good professor showed up on the stream last night during Dynamite, and he dropped a couple of hundy bombs, and he just dropped a $300 super chat. I think that's worthy of some confetti. Let's get some confetti here, drop it on the street. We gotta show some love for Professor John Gotti. But that's what I'm talking about. Not everybody is as generous as the professor, but to see that kind of support, it just, I can't put into words how much it means to me. So before we even get into all the Survivor Series stuff, I wanted to make sure I say thank you a lot, and I will continue to say it because I genuinely appreciate your support, your patronage, even if it's just sharing links that I post on social media, hitting the like button, hitting thumbs up on the videos, which helps the videos out, leaving comments, sending emails, tweets, whatever it might be. You guys are as much a part of the success of this show and this channel as anybody, because without you, there is no channel. This channel is dead. So, again, thank you very much for 14 years, and here's to 14 more. I don't know where things are going to go. You never know, right? You never know where life is going to take you. House of Glory is back. It's so awesome to be back doing commentary with, JD and the whole team there at Hog and everything we have going there. That's very exciting. It just is, it's incredibly fulfilling, and 2022 is going to be a hell of a year. I am looking forward to seeing what the new year brings for the channel, for the show, and hopefully a lot of happiness for all of you as well. Well, we'll save all that for the New Year's Eve stream next month. But yes, the 35th annual Survivor Series is live from the Barclays Center in Brooklyn this Sunday. A show where most of the talent from Raw and SmackDown, if you watch the shows in recent weeks, seem more interested in sniping with each other and kicking each other's asses than actually going after the people on the other show. And I thought the whole point of this was brand warfare. So much for that. They're more interested in fighting each other than the people from the other brand. Since we're in the mode of showing love, I do want to show love for WrestleRumble.com because they have the Survivor Series Pick'em Contest. You still have time to enter the Pick'em Contest at WrestleRumble.com. Time is running out. You've got until 8 p.m. Eastern Time this Sunday. Enter now for a chance to win $1,000 cash for the first place winner, or $100 if you come in second or third place. All you have to do is buy an entry and answer a series of prop questions about things you think might be going down on the pay-per-view. So give some thought to this, because these are some of the questions. How many eliminations will Seth Rollins have? How many eliminations will Sasha Banks have? How will the Becky Lynch against Charlotte Flair match end? Who will be the last wrestler eliminated in the men's and women's matches? If you think you can answer these questions, then get on it. Enter now. Your window is closing, and you can walk away $1,000 richer. So again, WrestleRumble.com is the place to go. Shout out to WrestleRumble. They have also been a great friend of the show. I've got just a fucking cool custom championship belt. That was such a nice surprise from WrestleRumble a few months ago. We now have not one, but two heel authority figures on WWE television. Sonya Deville, we know, has been feuding with Naomi now for a number of weeks. She has bee in her bonnet about Naomi for reasons that remain unexplained. So we know that Sonya's been doing the whole heel shtick for a while. But now Adam Pearce, not to be left out, is getting in on the fun as well. Adam Pearce is acting more and more like a jerk on TV. So we're back to the authority, basically. Only instead of Triple H and Stephanie, we have Adam Pearce and we have Sonya Deville. The authority is back. Did you miss them? Because I didn't. It was actually kind of refreshing to not have heel authority figures on TV for a while. It's one of the things I always liked about William Regal in NXT. But now the authority is back. In fact, between the Von Wagner cameo on SmackDown last week, remember he was standing silently next to Adam Pearce backstage on Friday night? Between that and all of these trademark filings by WWE this week, it looks like Adam Pearce might possibly be leading his own stable on television very soon. Sure seems that way. There were 6 trademark filings by WWE this week, really for one term, but under 6 different spellings, that being scrap metal. Of course, Scrap Daddy is what Adam Pearce used to call himself on the independent scene, not to be confused with the Scrub Daddy, which I know from Shark Tank. And I have one of those downstairs, the Scrub Daddy. It's great. I'd rather have the Scrub Daddy than the Scrap Daddy. So Scrap Metal, in 6 different variations, 6 different spellings, was trademarked by WWE. I think this whole idea belongs in the scrap heap. That's where it belongs. They also decided to finally get around to announce the other 2 champion against champion matches at Survivor Series, since it is brand warfare, Raw versus SmackDown. The champions wrestle each other. That includes the tag team champions on both shows will be facing each other at the pay-per-view on Sunday. That meant a surprise cameo by the Usos on Monday night, who attacked Big E before Matt Riddle ran out to make the save. And this led to, and I shit you not, you're not going to believe this, but this led to, and this is exactly the word that Sonya Deville used, unorthodox. That was the word that Sonya Deville used on Monday night. She came out and she said, unorthodox. She is going to make the unorthodox move of booking a tag team match. Because we've never seen this before on WWE television where somebody runs out, the authority figure comes out on the spot, books a tag team match, they go to commercial, we come back, we go from a singles match to a tag team. Oh, we've never seen this before. Very unorthodox. I'd like to know what's so unorthodox about it. We see it on television every fucking week. It's going to be Big E and Riddle against Jimmy and Jey Uso. And not only have they openly mocked the whole can they coexist thing, because everybody's been making fun of them for it now for weeks. And on television, and hey, Ben Catherine just subscribed, getting the double thumbs up from Asuka. Thank you for the sub. Not only have they been basically mocking themselves on television now for this whole, like, can they coexist thing, but now they're making fun of how predictable their own booking is. I can only imagine that her coming out there and saying unorthodox is their way of kind of poking fun at themselves. I've never seen a company so openly just mock their own booking, their own shitty, predictable booking. It's like they wear it like a badge of honor. They really do. They wear it like a badge of honor. You know, when somebody goes up on stage during a graduation ceremony and they get like a ribbon pinned on their chest and they stand there with their chest all puffed out, beaming with pride, that's Vince McMahon and Bruce Pritchard and Kevin Dunn. When they pull him away from the truck and whatever it is he's doing, bouncing cameras up and down, they just stand there and they wear it like a badge of honor. They just so openly mock themselves. They're self-aware, but they don't do anything to change. It's one thing to be self-aware and poke fun at yourself and be self-deprecating. I think that's actually a good quality to have, but they don't make any attempt to actually change. They just continue that behavior. I don't know if they realize people are laughing at them and not with them. Anyway, that tag team match didn't last very long before it was turned into a six-man tag. Seth Rollins joined the fray on the heel side. Randy Orton came out, joined the fray on the babyface side. All of this is to say that this Sunday we have the Raw Tag Team Champions, Randy Orton and Matt Riddle, RK Bro, taking on the SmackDown Tag Team Champions, the Usos. There is trouble in paradise brewing between Orton and Riddle. Orton has been on Riddle's case now for a few weeks. He has been yelling at him and telling him, don't mess with Omos. Stop messing with the giants on this roster. This week he was saying, what are you running out there and making the save for somebody else? The only concern that I have is this team. These tag team titles and this team is the only thing I'm concerned about. I'm not concerned about anything else. So clearly there's something brewing there between those two. I'm going to go with the Usos for the win. That keeps the bloodline stuff rolling along and possibly furthers whatever this rift is between Orton and Riddle. So I think SmackDown gets the win there. We have the United States champion, Damian Priest, representing Monday Night Raw, battling the Intercontinental champion, Shinsuke Nakamura. This is a match that has had no build whatsoever. It is simply champion from one brand against champion from another brand. You know, it's hard to build these matches when you're supposed to be honoring a brand split. Even though we saw the Usos just randomly pop up on Raw Monday night. I guess there was nothing stopping Nakamura and Rick Boogs from showing up if they wanted to. Whatever they may or may not do for this match here is going to be relegated to SmackDown tomorrow night. My guess is they don't do anything. Shinsuke Nakamura just got pinned in a tag team match by Angel Garza and Humberto Carrillo last week. That is what happened to the Intercontinental Champion. Damian Priest has been kept strong on Raw. I've actually given them a lot of praise for the way they've booked Damian Priest. See big things in his future. I think they've kept him very strong. I see no reason for that to not be the case on Sunday. Just look at it's like the tale of two champions here in terms of how they've been booked. Damian Priest is my pick for the win there. Not that any of this even means anything. And can we also just pump the brakes here for a second and talk about the sad fall of Survivor Series? Survivor Series, as I was growing up as a young WWF fan, was always one of my favorite shows. I always loved the Royal Rumble, but I always loved the elimination matches at Survivor Series. They were always a favorite of mine. And I understand that we see so many tag team matches and six-man tags on television every single week now. I mean, there's just so much more television now than there was back then, so much more content, that the old school elimination matches at Survivor Series, you can't fill an entire pay-per-view with it and expect it to sell. Although I do think you could at least do one each year. So maybe they don't mean as much as they used to. And years ago, I had pitched War Games at Survivor Series, and Vince McMahon apparently just doesn't want to do War Games. So they did the Elimination Chamber instead. But I always thought War Games would be a nice way to replace the old elimination concept and give Survivor Series something meaningful and something fun to look forward to. But I still hold on to this hope that Survivor Series could still mean something. And WWE every year it's soul crushing. For anybody who has any hope left that Survivor Series might still be worth a damn, it's not. Survivor Series doesn't mean a goddamn thing. And it hasn't for a very long time. And this here is another example of what I'm talking about. Look at the lack of effort put into promoting this show. Leaving everything for the last second. And even what they're doing at the last second is not really compelling at all. Now, we know what they think of Survivor Series because every other major show is in a dome or a stadium now. The Rumble, WrestleMania, Money in the Bank is coming to a stadium next year. Survivor Series is not, because they don't look at Survivor Series as being a major show anymore. And they probably, and correctly, don't think that Survivor Series can pack in 30 or 40 or 50,000 people in a big stadium setting. Well, of course it can. Look at the way they promoted Survivor Series now for years. Survivor Series is a forgettable show. And you have Raw versus SmackDown. They do this brand warfare thing, which makes no sense, especially with the timing of the draft. You have a bunch of people who get drafted over to a new show, and then they're supposed to wear the colors of their new brand, and it's as if they're going into battle. Nobody gives a shit. Maybe if the draft were earlier in the year, then it might make more sense. Last week, Xavier Woods pitched an idea while he was, I think, skateboarding or rollerblading or whatever he was doing. As he's doing cardio, he's pitching ideas, and he works for the company. He's in one of the elimination matches, and even he was like, what are we fighting for here? What are we fighting for? That's not him being told what to do. That's not him trying to kind of book his own storyline here. Because if it was part of a storyline, they would have announced stakes for this show, but they haven't. This was just him riffing and saying, hey, what are we fighting for here? I have an idea. How about the winning brand? You take 5, or maybe the 5 people, I think is what he said, who lose in the elimination match. You book them in a fatal 5-way. And then based on, whoever wins there, whatever, those 5 people, they get the first 5 spots in the Royal Rumble match. They have to start at the beginning of the Rumble. And the winning team gets the final spots in the Rumble match. And we talked about this on the podcast last weekend. I'm not totally sold on that idea, because I think that while it's a nice idea in Austin Theory, if WWE has a surprise plan for, let's say, the number 30 spot, then they're going to put that person at number 30 regardless of what happened at Survivor Series. But there's any number of things you can do. Maybe the person who scores the final elimination or something gets a championship match at the Royal Rumble pay-per-view. We've talked about other ideas. Everybody has pitched ideas. Everybody has put more effort into thinking about this than WWE has. There's no stakes. There's nothing on the line. Brand warfare. It's just bragging rights. They had a pay-per-view many years ago called Bragging Rights. You know how many years it lasted? I think 2. Maybe 3. I don't even think it lasted that long. It didn't sell. And this doesn't sell either. But they're on Peacock, so I guess they don't have to worry about that, right? They have their guaranteed money. That's part of the problem. WWE is not a slave to pay-per-view companies and the providers the way they used to be. That was their lifeblood. Ticket sales and pay-per-view buys. That's what they lived and died by. They don't live and die by that anymore. We just went through a pandemic where WWE didn't run a single live event for over a year in front of an actual audience. They have their TV contracts. They have their Peacock deal for $1 billion. I mean, they got it made. So what we end up with are events like this where they put in minimum effort, booking on the fly, trying to figure things out 6 days before, 3 days before. They make their money, but the people who suffer are you and me, the viewer. We expect more. We don't get more. We get less. That's the problem. Anyway, this public service announcement has been brought to you by the Solomonster. Welcome to everybody who's filing on into the stream here. I hope I'm making sense. I think I'm making sense with what I'm saying. I think a lot of you probably agree with what I'm saying here. But WWE apparently feels differently. We've got the Raw versus SmackDown elimination match with Team Raw. We're talking about the women now. Team Raw, represented by Bianca Belair, Rhea Ripley, Liv Morgan, Carmella, and Queen Zelina. Against Team SmackDown, represented by Sasha Banks, Shotzi Blackheart, Shayna Baszler, Natalya, and what was supposed to be a spot going to Aaliyah, who had never wrestled a single match on television on the main roster. Aaliyah was in a match on SmackDown last week, a multi-woman, I think it was 6-woman match. And she picked up the win for her team, and she celebrated like it was like a huge victory, the biggest victory of her entire life. And it got a big pop. And then Sonya Deville, the evil Sonya Deville, bounced her out of the match because she was jealous, I guess, or just wanted to be a bitch, or whatever her motivations were. And this is the breaking news that I alluded to a little while ago. They announced this on Twitter, as they announce everything on Twitter. Aaliyah is out, we know that, but replacing Aaliyah on Team SmackDown, and I will give them kudos for this, because this was the right move. I even wrote this in my notes for this stream, and then they scooped me by, I think they knew I was streaming tonight, and then they said, let's fuck this guy over by actually scooping him on our own announcement. But I wrote the name Toni Storm, who made her first appearance on television in I don't even know how long, last week when she confronted Charlotte Flair. And I said, why not Toni Storm? Toni Storm should have been in the match to begin with. On Raw, they have put Austin Theory, and I'm going to talk about that in a second. They put Austin Theory in the men's elimination match. Austin Theory is going to be a champion in this company. He's going to be a big star. And so I like the idea that he'll have the spotlight in a Survivor Series match. Well, why not do the same with Toni Storm? Well, WWE apparently actually used common sense on this decision. Toni Storm will take the place of Aaliyah in the women's elimination match at Survivor Series. Now, of course, they could have just added her to begin with, but at least Aaliyah got a big win on TV last week out of it. I'm going with Team Raw. I'm going with the ladies of Team Raw here. That's Bianca, Rhea, Liv, Carmella, Zelina. I'm picking them, and partially because of the pick that I'm making in the men's match. I don't think we're going to have any kind of clean sweep here where one brand wins, all of their matches. So I'm going with the Women of Raw here, and this sounds like a calendar, right? The Women of Raw. Which calendar would you like to see? The Women of Raw or the Women of SmackDown? Why discriminate? Why not both, right? Ant Ran in the chat says, why is Natty in the match? Well, I think they want a veteran presence on the team. And Natty is, I'm looking at the women that are in this match. She is the longest tenured of any of the women in this match. And so I think they want that balance. They have a lot of newer faces in the match. Some that are a little more established. Carmella's been around now for a few years, but nobody's been around in this match as long as Natty. Yeah, Natty is easily the longest tenured one in the match. So I think it really just boils down to that. They want a veteran presence in there. But I think Raw gets the win. They're my pick. I like the fact that Toni Storm has been added to the match. Now, of course, the question is, coming out of this pay-per-view, are we going to see Toni Storm on television on a consistent basis? Or is she going to disappear? My fear is that she's going to get the Walter treatment. Remember when Walter was in a Survivor Series match a couple of years ago? I think he was the first one out in the first, 3 minutes of the match. So this could end up being one of those be careful what you wish for things. You wanted Toni Storm, you got her, and then boom, she's gone in the first 3 minutes of the match. I hope not, because Toni Storm is going to be a big star in that women's division if she is given the opportunity. And I certainly hope that she is. Let me break here for a second. The Screwdriver, Mixed Martial Arts, the Screwdriver is very good. Thank you for asking. We do have a Solomonster Screwdriver here. But I want to make sure, I know I am way behind here. We have a lot of Super Chats. So instead of saving them all for the end, I'm going to just go through a few here and there, just to kind of break things up a little bit. All right, we'll go back and forth. I'll keep you guys on your toes. I'm gonna book the stream like WWE. You won't know what to expect here. At least everything I do will make sense. Taylor E was the first Super Chatter tonight. He dropped, or she, I shouldn't assume, 1999. Hey, Taylor, thank you for the Super Chat. Groovy Goose says the Mets manager spot is vacant. Are you up for it? I didn't know vacant was working in baseball. I thought vacant was only working in wrestling, in WWE. I do not want the job. I don't want the job. Management with this team is a total shit show. So I just got done telling you guys how happy I am doing what I'm doing. I'm in a good place. And you want to completely ruin that by throwing me into that fucking mess over there. I don't need that stress. I feel like it'll age me by about 10 years. I'm very grateful that I look a little bit younger than I am. And I feel like if I take that Mets job, I'm gonna look my age plus 15 years. I don't want that. I'm trying to avoid wrinkles and crow's feet and all that for as long as I can. I still have my hair. I want to keep that going for a while. Ghost Rose, did you see Becky's interview with Ariel Helwani? And if so, do you have any thoughts? I do, actually. I will probably talk more in depth about it on the podcast on Sunday. But I did tweet out a clip from that interview, a comment she made about Ric Flair, and I gave my thoughts on Twitter, and boy, did I get quite the response. It was quite a shit show in the replies to the tweet that I put up. So I will get into that more a little bit later. Hey, Donnie, yeah, there's no Long Island iced teas here. This is the best I got for you, and I'm starting to run low here. Let's do one more right now. Magician Sapphire. Happy 14th anniversary, Solomonster. Been a listener since the TV Tracks days. You know, I really should... I'm glad you mentioned him because I forgot to mention him earlier. TV Tracks was a very important piece of getting the word out about this podcast on YouTube. Because a lot of you who remember TV Tracks, he had his own channel. And he had certain podcasts that he listened to that were favorites, and mine was one of them. It was mine, and it was Don Tony and Kevin Castle, and there might have been one other one. Later on, I think it might have been Good Mic Work. And shout out to Greg, DT, and Kev Castle, and Greg. All great guys. But, you know, he reached out to me one day and said, look, I'm a big fan of your show, and do you mind if I feature some of your clips? And I said, well... You know, I could see that there were a lot of people who were subscribed to his channel. I said, sure, let's get some more eyeballs on the show. And I can't tell you how many people I've heard from who said, dude, I found out about your show through TV Tracks, you know, or of all the shows that were featured there, you know, I would watch your clips the most, and all these things, all these messages I was getting. And he was around for a while, and then I think he just got burned out. I haven't talked to him in a very long time. I hope he's doing well. I don't know if he listens anymore. I don't even know if he watches wrestling anymore. I think he was just burned out, and so he moved on. But shout out to him wherever he may be, because he was also a very important piece of getting more eyeballs and ears on this show. And yes, of course, how could I forget Wrestling Soup? Of course, they're part of the whole family. They're part of the whole community. Mish and Joey, and I hope they're doing well. Mish just celebrated a birthday. I wished him happy birthday on Facebook. I'll do it here too. And while we're giving congratulations, we're celebrating 14 years tonight. I want to give a shout out to Lee Sanders of the RCWR show. Lee is he just celebrated 10 years of his show. I dropped in and checked out some of his stream the other night. So shout out to Lee, wherever he may be. All right, so let's get back to Survivor Series, and then we'll get to more of your Super Chats here. We have the men's Raw versus SmackDown elimination match. Team Raw represented by Seth Rollins, Finn Balor, Kevin Owens, Bobby Lashley, and Austin Theory. Replacing Rey Mysterio against Team SmackDown represented by Drew McIntyre, Jeff Hardy, King Xavier Woods, Happy Corbin, and TBA. Because Sami Zayn lost his spot on TV last week, he lost to Jeff Hardy. And per Adam Pearce, that meant that Sami was bounced out of the Survivor Series. So, since I'm doing this stream on a Thursday, we don't yet know. They haven't announced who's going to fill that spot. I'm sure they'll announce it on Twitter during the day tomorrow, but they haven't announced yet who's taking his spot. My guess and my prediction is Sheamus. They mentioned on the show last week, because Ridge Holland is obviously on the SmackDown roster now. And he's been doing these promos in the back praising Sheamus. Oh, I love Sheamus. I grew up idolizing Sheamus, living in my little village or town or wherever he's from. We used to watch Sheamus, and when Sheamus won the Royal Rumble, when Sheamus won Money in the Bank, and he did this and he did that. And there was a mention in there that Sheamus is going to be back on TV this Friday. So we know that Sheamus is going to be on the show and doing something, I guess, with Ridge Holland, but you want a veteran presence in this match, you put Sheamus in there. One of the unsung heroes of Monday Night Raw and SmackDown, because he was SmackDown first, then he moved to Raw. During the pandemic was Sheamus. Sheamus was killing it. He had a ton of great matches with McIntyre and Riddle and even Carrillo. I mean, all the people, Ricochet, they put him in the ring with Damian Priest. Sheamus, I don't think gets enough credit for the work he put in during that whole Thunderdome era. So that's my guess. I'm just going to say Sheamus gets the spot. My fear is that it goes to fucking Von Wagner. If we see Von Wagner on TV again tomorrow night, Adam Pearce may give him the spot. Let us hope it is not Von Wagner. I am not ready for Von Wagner on the main roster yet. But Monday night, Rey Mysterio walked to the ring, and I want to mention this because this is so ridiculous. And I'm going to mention this again on the podcast on Sunday, but I have to mention it now. Monday night, Rey Mysterio walked to the ring for the main event. This is how Rey lost his spot. He got beat by Bobby Lashley. Got beat badly by Bobby Lashley. So on Monday, is that Hooligrim? Shout out to Hooli in the chat. Good to see you. Rey comes out, and I thought, boy, it seems awfully early for them to be doing this match between Rey Mysterio and Bobby Lashley. It's still fairly early. And I was wondering, what are they going to end the show with? I thought maybe this would be the main event, but can't be the main event, right? It's 10:30 when Rey Mysterio made his entrance for his match with Bobby Lashley. He makes his entrance, they go to commercial, and they come back with a video recap of what happened the week before on SmackDown. I don't mind them doing that. I actually think it's smart. You have an update on Raw for what happened the previous Friday. You have an update on SmackDown for what happened the previous Monday. Great. But they do this recap. That goes about 2 minutes. Then they run down the entire card for Survivor Series. Okay, it's the Go Home Raw. You want to run down the pay-per-view card? Fine. Then they recap what happened on Raw the previous Monday with Bobby Lashley and with Dominic Mysterio, who was in the Survivor Series match, and he got bounced when he lost to Bobby Lashley. So we got a replay with footage of what happened the week before on Raw. Then Lashley makes his entrance. Rey was in the ring by himself the entire time. Only now is Bobby Lashley first making his entrance and coming to the ring. He comes to the ring, and then they cut to a commercial break. Okay? So they cut to a commercial break. Then they come back, but they come back not to the match. They come back to plug the fact that NXT 2.0 is on the next night. And after they plug NXT, we have a little commercial for NXT. They plug that Raw talk is going to be on Peacock later in the night. And then finally, the bell rings. And the match begins between Rey Mysterio and Bobby Lashley. A full 17 minutes after Rey Mysterio made his entrance for this main event, the bell rang to signify the beginning of the match itself. That entire period, from the moment that Rey came down to the ring to the moment the bell rang to start the match, lasted longer than the main event itself. So when you hear me talk about the fact that Raw is just 3 hours of killing time every single week, that's exactly what it is. The way they design these segments and they format the show, all they're trying to do is run out the clock and just waste and kill as much time as they possibly can, because they don't have enough shit to fill time with. Even though they have tons of stars, they have a lot of talent, they have a loaded roster. This is what they do every single week. I'm like, I was blown away by this. I kind of admire it in a way, because again, I didn't know what they were going to end the show with. I was like, boy, it's starting really early here. By the end, they filled that time and it took them right into the very end of the show. I was like, I couldn't believe it. But this show is completely unwatchable. One of the many reasons why Monday Night Raw is completely, utterly unwatchable, and why a lot of people probably who are in this chat right now, who have emailed me before, don't watch Raw anymore. They listen to people like me. Tell them what happened on Raw so they can at least be in the know. So when the pay-per-view comes around, they at least know what the storyline setup is for a lot of the matches. But they wouldn't dare sit through this themselves. I can't say that I blame them. 17 minutes. 17 minutes. From the entrance to the start of the match. Amazing. Lashley, though, beat Rey the same way he beat Dominic. He beat him with the Hurt Lock. Adam Pearce walked out while Rey was being tended to, and he said that Rey was off Team Raw at Survivor Series, and he would be replaced by a name to be determined later. Of course, this was the final Raw before Survivor Series, so how much later are we supposed to wait here? Austin Theory came out. He gave Dominic the ATL. And Adam Pearce was so impressed by this, he said, you know what? I like your style, kid. And he added Austin Theory to the Raw team at Survivor Series. Now, let me just pause here for a second. Adam Pearce, 2 weeks ago, came out on Raw and said that he was filled with regret, much as I am at 7:59 p.m. every Monday night when I sit down to watch that show. Adam Pearce said he was filled with regret when he realized that all of the members of Team Raw at Survivor Series were either a former WWE champion, World Heavyweight Champion, or Universal Champion. All except one. That being Dominic Mysterio, which is why he made the match with Lashley. And Lashley beat him and took his spot, right? So I'm old enough to remember when Adam Pearce came out 2 weeks ago and said this, that he was filled with regret. He wanted to see Team Raw win. I don't know why he would care who wins. He's not the general manager of Raw. He's the general manager, basically, of both shows, but let's forget that for a second. So he says this. So what does he do? He replaces a world champion with someone who has never held a title in WWE. A newcomer. More or less a rookie. I mean, he had a stint on Raw last year. But I love the lapses in logic on this show. They really should establish some kind of award. Like an awards category dedicated to lack of logic. They would sweep the category they would own that category every year. Amazing. And I like Austin Theory being on the team. I don't mind him being on the team. I think he's got a huge upside in this company. But the lack of logic is something else. Meltzer should add a category to the Observer Awards. WWE would sweep it every year. Kevin Owens beat Finn Balor with a stunner on Monday. He is, in fact, a heel. I wasn't sure if it was a full-blown heel turn or not. Based on the way he was acting on Monday, it sure seems like it is. And he cut a promo talking about how he's going to break bad on everybody. Let's shave this guy's head and call him Heisenberg. Kevin Owens is going to break bad on the entire Raw roster. They should bring back Logan Paul to be his Jesse Pinkman. Since he and Logan Paul had that thing going on TV for a while, he could basically be his Jesse Pinkman so he could boss him around. Because I doubt Aaron Paul would want anything to do with this fucking show, so you go with a different Paul. You go with Logan Paul, Jake Paul, Sean Paul. Paul's my middle name, actually. Don't pick me. I want nothing to do with this. The Raw team is a lot more stacked, though. So, when I look at these teams, I'm going with SmackDown. In part because I'm going with Team Raw for the women. So I'm going to go with Team SmackDown for the men and predict that Drew McIntyre is going to be the sole survivor. I think they are building Drew McIntyre in the next few months for a championship match. Possibly, could be WrestleMania. I still say it's going to be Lesnar. But I think they are building McIntyre for an eventual title match with Roman Reigns. And I think you want to keep him strong. One way to do it is to have him be the sole survivor. So I'm picking Team SmackDown and Drew to be the last guy standing. We have Raw Women's Champion Becky Lynch. One-on-one with the SmackDown Women's Champion Charlotte Flair. Hey, Craig. Just subscribe to the channel. Craig, was that Craig 1? Welcome, Craig. Gustavo says at this point, Owens is counting the days until his contract is up. He and Kyle O'Reilly, I think both, might be doing the same thing. You might be right. So before we get into the Becky Lynch Charlotte Flair match, which everybody has been talking, well, not really, but a lot of people have been talking about it this week. Let's do a few more of your Super Chat questions. Ghostros, congrats on 14 years. That is from Lance. Lance, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Magician Sapphire dropped 10. Happy 14th anniversary, Solomonster. Been a listener since the TV Tracks days. Buy, sell, or rent. It's funny, I almost caught myself when I mentioned TV Tracks before. I think it was during Magician Sapphire Super Chat. I almost forgot to read his actual Super Chat, so thankfully I didn't. But he said, buy, sell, or rent on who is the biggest go-away heat magnet in AEW right now. Cody, QT Marshall, or Matt Hardy? Matt Hardy, I think. QT Marshall has not been on television lately, so I don't have any issue with QT Marshall anymore. Cody's got this weird thing going with the fans. He hasn't really done anything, though, to get me to feel like I want him off my TV. I don't really have an issue with Cody. Matt Hardy, though, and the whole Hardy family office thing, they've got to go away. I like Matt, but they've got to go away. Or just try something different. Maybe he becomes re-broken. We get broken Matt back, but this ain't working for me. Lamar Smith with the 1999 Super Chat. It would be cool if the draft was only for NXT talent to go to the main roster. Draft 3 men, 3 women, and 2 tag teams. Survivor Series could be for the number 1 pick. You have to move the draft after WrestleMania. What do you think? Yeah, so very much like the way it's done in actual sports. You have your number 1 draft pick, your star of the future, and you have different rounds of the draft. But the problem with that is you can't draft everybody, right? They have a show to do. So you're only going to have a very limited number of people you could draft to the main roster at any one time. As long as they still have an NXT show, they need people. They need some stars down there. So that's kind of the reason I don't know that works too well. But Luli Oliver just subscribed. What's going on, Luli? Mike Drop Hooligan. Hey, Solomonster. Happy 14 years. Keep it up. And Colin Cowherd, or Cowturd, as he says, sucks. Yes, he does. Joshua Carlos, congrats on 14 years. What was your favorite segment to do on the podcast? RSPW Rewind, which I was just working on earlier, actually. There is a new one coming soon. This Week in Wrestling History, or your top 10 list for pay-per-views and matches. They're all very time-consuming because I always feel like when I'm doing one of those countdowns or something, that's when things get really busy in wrestling. And so it's like, shit. Because, I don't just half-ass shit. If I'm going to do it, I'm going to put the work in. A lot of stuff I remember myself. Some stuff I don't. You got to do your homework. You got to do your research. I learn things all the time that I wasn't aware of. And I love finding out about little details about things from, historical events that I didn't know about. So it's a lot of work. I enjoyed working on all of them, but I would say the one that I probably had the most fun doing was RSPW Rewind. Just because just that whole community there is something else. Not always in a good way. But we always have fun with RSPW Rewind. The problem and the reason why there's so few of them now, and I've held back on doing more of them, is because there's only so many posts that I have been able to find. Unfortunately, I have a way of searching for the old posts, and I've been able to pull, a lot of them, but not all of them. And so there's a finite number I've got left, and I didn't want to burn through all of them too quickly. So I still have a list of about 3 or 4 pages worth of links, and I will go through them, but that was always a trip to go back and see what people were talking about. And the whole reason I started the segment was it was born out of a mailbag question that somebody had sent me. And which is why I always say that you guys are as much a part of the show every week as anything, because it's sometimes stuff that you say or bring to my attention that will lead me to think of something, and then who knows, might end up leading to a new segment. But that's kind of how the whole thing got started. The whole point was to prove to people who say, oh, wrestling fans are so toxic and it's only been this way because of Twitter and Facebook. And, the whole point was, no, that's not true. Here, let me show you. And every time I did a new segment, I would illustrate that there was an internet community even back in the early to mid 90s and the late 90s during the glory days, the Monday Night War, the Attitude Era. There were still people who were saying the same things about Steve Austin and The Rock and Bill Goldberg that a lot of people say today about John Cena and Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes. You just didn't have an internet connection back then. You just didn't know that this stuff was going on, but believe me, wrestling fans were every bit as toxic back then as they can be today. That was the whole point of doing that segment in the first place. Ryan Corpora, congrats Solomonster, you are the GOAT. Question, only picking the glorious 1995 year, WCW versus WWF, 5-on-5. Who are your teams? Oh, 95. Well, I mean, obviously, you got Brett and Shawn on Team WWF. You got Brett, you got Shawn, you got Undertaker. I'd probably throw Owen in there. Brett, Owen, Shawn, Undertaker, that's 4, right? I need a 5th guy. Razor Ramon. WCW, I mean, God, I wasn't watching a lot of WCW in 95, but Flair. Vader was already on his way out at that point, but I'd probably go Flair, Vader, Savage, Sting. I'm probably missing a 5th guy, but that's pretty much who I would go with. Joshua Carlos. Buy, sell, or rent Royal Rumble match 02, 07, or 01. I would buy on 01. I would... Boy, that's tough. I would buy on 01. I think I would rent on 07 and sell on 02. And 02 was not bad, but I would probably sell on that one. Yes, I see all the Hogan mention. I know Hogan was in WCW 95. I would not pick him, though. The whole red and yellow thing at that point was passé. When I saw Hogan no-sell a Vader powerbomb, that even a younger me was like, what the fuck? Hogan in 95 in WCW was not exactly my favorite. All right, let's get back to the Survivor Series predictions, then we'll get back to your Super Chats. Becky Lynch against Charlotte Flair. don't expect a clean finish in this one, but I do think we'll have a decisive finish. I think the easy way to go would be to say, well, we're going to get some kind of Survivor Series Montreal type screw job or a double DQ. You know, both women are not going to be happy about losing, and so maybe they'll just, you know, keep them both strong by having neither of them lose. I think that would be a cop-out. I think we'll get a winner here. I'm picking Becky Lynch. I think Becky Lynch beats Charlotte Flair by whatever means that, you know, she may have to undertake to get the job done. I'm picking Becky over Charlotte. But on Raw Monday night, Becky cut a great babyface promo on Charlotte. It's almost as if you would think this woman should be a babyface or a tweener like she was before on TV. But they insist on booking her like a heel. So she cut this great babyface promo on Charlotte with some fire, only to then just flip the switch back to heel so she could cut a heel promo on Liv Morgan. It's one of those things that makes the build-up to these brand warfare shows so awkward. This entire match is based entirely off this supposed real-life heat between these two women. And whether or not one of them is going to shoot on the other, the answer, by the way, is no. But that's really the entire build-up for this match. Do I believe that these women had an issue a few weeks ago, the reports about the shouting match, and that wasn't a work, it was a shoot, and Charlotte had to be escorted out of the building? Yes. I believe all of that. That was the night that Andrade, if you remember, tweeted "F-U WWE" on Twitter. I don't believe he was in on the work, because I don't believe there was a work. I think there was an incident that took place. They didn't beat the fuck out of each other. They shouted, they exchanged words. I mean, we've heard about plenty of backstage confrontations like that with the men over the years. So I believe that was a shoot. I believe that did happen. Charlotte Flair was on Renee Young, or Renee Paquette's podcast months ago, before Survivor Series was even a thing this year. And we even knew that these two women were going to be wrestling each other. This might have been before Becky even came back. And she went on the podcast and she admitted that she and Becky are not close like they used to be. They used to be best friends. They are no longer close. And she was a little wishy-washy on why that was. So I do believe that these are two women who were very good friends at one point. They grew apart or drifted apart for whatever reason. And they are no longer friends in the way that they used to be. I don't think that's a work. I think that part is a shoot. Now, this whole thing where Becky has been going out there, she went on a Sports Illustrated podcast, she went on Ariel Helwani's podcast, and she flat out says when she's asked, do you trust Charlotte Flair? And she says, no. That whole thing is being played up for the benefit of this match. I don't believe that she, you know, completely distrusts Charlotte Flair, and she would be so, you know, adamant about, I don't trust her. That is part of the work to try to build some intrigue in this match, because that's what they're trying to do here. That's what they should be doing, is trying to build intrigue for this match. This is not the match I would have done at Survivor Series. This match would have had, you know, some combination of Bianca and Charlotte or Sasha and Bianca. It would have been along those lines. And if anything, I would have had maybe Charlotte and Becky captaining their own Survivor Series teams. That's what I would have done. So I think it's something that is being embellished, but it is not all just one big work. Everybody's been, you know, throwing replies at me on Twitter. You're being worked, bro. You're being worked. Maybe I am. I don't think I am. I think that the stuff with Becky and Ric Flair, which I'll talk more about on the podcast on Sunday, I got to leave something for Sunday. Under normal circumstances, I would say, yeah, it's part of her just trying to ratchet up interest in the match. But the fact that she kind of, without saying it, clearly was alluding to Ric Flair's recent issues. She made I don't have the exact comments in front of me, but she was talking about how sad it is. They had a back and forth on Twitter, and she said, you know, I wrote this whole response to Rick, and then I deleted it because it was too nasty. And, you know, she made comments that I think were very embarrassing for Flair, where she almost like felt sorry for him, which is the worst thing that you could say to somebody like Ric Flair. Oh, I feel sorry for you. But she made a comment about how Rick has, you know, dug himself in a hole recently. Clearly that was a nod to the issues coming out of the Dark Side of the Ring episode, where he is basically toxic. Nobody wants to touch him. AEW doesn't want to touch him. WWE took him out of the signature at the beginning of their show. They don't want to have anything to do with him. Now, WWE eventually welcomed Hulk Hogan back into the family. Ric Flair will eventually be back in the WWE family. Right now, he is on the outs. Nobody wants to go near him. Not yet. That is what Becky was alluding to. And I think that if this were all just a work to build the match, that's something they wouldn't want to touch with a 10-foot pole. And I'm sure Flair probably wouldn't want to touch that with a 10-foot pole. He's ready to put that behind him and have people talking about anything but that. And the fact that there was a woman who went on television a few months ago and basically accused him of sexually assaulting her. I don't think that's something they want to even subtly play into a storyline. And Flair was obviously not very happy about the comments that Becky made. And she made some other comments about him as well. And, look, I think Becky is going to get the win, but I think there'll be some shenanigans here. And we'll see if this continues beyond Survivor Series. I would think not, especially with them being on separate brands. I think this is pretty much going to be one and done. I don't know what more you can do with this. I mean, again, they're on separate shows. They obviously don't want to work together. So what do you do for a finish? I just think it would be a total cop-out to do like a double DQ. You're going to do the match, give us a finish. And we have the Universal Champion Roman Reigns, one-on-one against the WWE Champion Big E. There's been a very, more of a subtle build in this match. Not a very good build and promotion for this main event. In fact, Big E never even acknowledged Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns tells everybody, acknowledge me. Big E never said a word about Roman Reigns the last few weeks until this past Monday. And he beat up the Usos. He left Jey Uso laying and sent a message to Roman Reigns. And we'll see what they do on SmackDown tomorrow night. The build to this has been virtually non-existent. What they've done on SmackDown is they've had Roman and the Usos take out Kofi Kingston with a storyline leg injury. They beat up Xavier Woods last week. Roman put the crown on his head, his King of the Ring crown. So that's what I mean when I say the build to this has been more subtle. But very lackluster, very lame build-up to this match. Not a lot of effort really put into it. I think that it would be a mistake to beat Roman Reigns. As unstoppable as this guy has been, you're building eventually to somebody beating him and dethroning him. I understand this is not a championship match. It would be very easy to have Big E beat Roman because it's not like he's going to win the title from him. Even Hulk Hogan in WCW, when he was the World Heavyweight Champion back in '96, did a clean job. Via submission, no less. He went out in a sleeper hold at Starrcade to Rowdy Roddy Piper. And it was non-title. The title didn't change hands, so it didn't really hurt Hogan. You could, in a non-title match like this, you could have Roman Reigns eat the loss. It's not something I would do. It's not something I think is going to happen. I'm picking Roman Reigns to win here. But I'm gonna throw out a bold prediction. And I could be way off on this. But I almost feel like if Roman Reigns does win at Survivor Series and they end the show with that, it's kind of a lackluster ending, I think. Unless they have some major angle planned for the end of the show. So I was thinking, what could they possibly have planned for the end of this pay-per-view? And of course, Seth Rollins won a ladder match on television a few weeks ago to pull down a contract that gives him the right to challenge for the WWE Championship. We saw Carmelo Hayes on NXT a few weeks ago, won a similar contract in the Breakout Tournament. And for the first time, they treated it like a Money in the Bank briefcase. They had never done that before. But he came out and he cashed in and he won the North American title, so they basically treated it like a Money in the Bank cash-in. Well, I have to assume, although maybe this is my own misguided belief in WWE being consistent with their storylines, but if that's the case, if Carmelo Hayes can come out and cash in his contract, well, why can't Seth Rollins come out and cash in his contract? Who's to say that he can't come out on Sunday? When Big E is left laying by Roman Reigns and the Bloodline, and He doesn't have the New Day there to save him, or Xavier gets taken out. Seth Rollins, after Team Raw eats the loss in the elimination match earlier in the show, Seth Rollins comes out and basically cashes in his title opportunity, and he pins Big E to become the WWE champion. That's my bold prediction for the end of this pay-per-view on Sunday. I think Seth Rollins might be leaving with the championship. It's going to be a bad night, I think, for Big E. So there you go. Those are your Survivor Series predictions. I will update my predictions as needed on episode 731 once we get through SmackDown tomorrow night. We'll see who if Sheamus is the final entrant in the men's elimination match, anything else that might be announced. I think the card is pretty much complete as far as matches. We'll see what the pre-show match is. But there you go. Some people are mentioning The Rock. Look, I take The Rock at his word. He's a busy guy. I know originally the idea, I think Andrew Zarian months ago had the report that WWE was hoping to get The Rock in Brooklyn to make an appearance at Survivor Series. That could be how they go off the air. If Rock is just completely playing everybody, and they are going to do Rock and Roman at WrestleMania next year, which it doesn't look like they are. But if they're going to do Rock and Roman at WrestleMania, I would hide that fact too. And I would have Rock, if Roman Reigns wins, and it looks like they're going to go off the air, another Roman Reigns win. And then at the Barclays Center, you hear, if you smell, and everybody just leaps to their feet, and The Rock, and he doesn't have to say a word. All he has to do is walk out and have a face-to-face stare down with his cousin. You've already set the stage for WrestleMania's main event next year. Not that I'm trying to get anybody's hopes up, but that's how I would do it. I would also keep it a surprise. I just don't think it's going to happen. I think there's a better chance that Seth is going to walk out with the championship on Sunday. Which means that we're going to have to put up with Rollins coming out on TV next Monday with the title and some multicolored suit and him doing the annoying laugh. Yeah. I can't do it. It's a fucking annoying, obnoxious laugh. But anyway, those are the Survivor Series predictions. There you go. Boy, Survivor Series, man, I tell you, it ain't what it used to be, unfortunately. Survivor Series ain't quite what it used to be. But sometimes these shows that you go into with low expectations end up being the ones that impress you the most, right? Although I think the chances of Survivor Series being a better show than Full Gear is pretty much slim to none. If they're going to be better than Full Gear, they've got an uphill battle, I'd say. So welcome again for those of you tuning in late. Get those likes up, by the way, on the stream. We are doing a 14-year anniversary stream celebrating all these many years of doing this show. In audio form, and then in more recent years, also on video here on the YouTube channel. Peter Griffin, is that what that laugh sounded like? Peter Griffin? I guess it does kind of sound like Peter Griffin a little bit. Or Fran Drescher. Yeah, there you go. Chris says the nanny. Kane says there's no reason for Rock and Roman. Everyone criticizes their illogical booking, and then you all request illogical booking. I didn't request shit, number one. Number two, they go for the biggest marquee matches at WrestleMania that they can do. Why is that a surprise to you? Are you new here? I know you're not. You've been around for a while, Kane. You're a veteran here. You guys smarten up a little bit. You know how the game goes here. WWE goes for the biggest marquee match they could possibly do at WrestleMania. If The Rock says, look, I'm down to do a match with my cousin at WrestleMania, and that could be it. I mean, that could be Rock's final match. He may never wrestle another match again. You know that they're not going to turn that down. If The Rock comes to you and says, I want to wrestle at WrestleMania, you would be a fucking fool to say no. So if he ever wants to do the match, we're going to get Rock and Roman. And if he's too busy to do the match, then we won't. But don't pretend to be surprised if they end up doing the match, because, you know, it'll make them a lot of money. Rock and Cena made them a lot of money. That's why they did it. Holy Toledo. It's one of those old expressions there. Paul Hamilton. Is that the Portland pop star who I see? I believe it is. Holy shit. Paul Hamilton. I gotta say, you hear me mention that name on the stream every week on the main podcast. From Portland himself, the man, Paul Hamilton says, happy anniversary to the greatest superstar of all time, Portland pop star. This guy, you talk about loyal, a friend of the show, someone who's always there to support, whether it's buying a t-shirt, he's brought signs to live events when they come to town, and he also bought my mom's children's book that, if you remember, when, you know, my mother passed away a few years ago, she had written a children's story many, many years ago. And we had been working for some time to try to get the book published. And, you know, she got sick again and it wasn't exactly top priority. And so she always felt really bad about that. And I felt bad that I couldn't help make it happen, you know, while she was still here. But the year after she passed away, I finally was able to, I found a publisher, I signed a contract, we found an illustrator. And we published the book, and it's one of the greatest things that I have ever been a part of, was seeing that book become a reality and to physically hold it. And not that we have anything against books that are self-published, because we thought about going down that route too, but we really wanted to find a publisher to believe in the story and publish the book. And I remember he sent me some really nice messages, and he bought the book, and he sent me a picture holding the book, and he was so excited. So to see somebody as excited about that, and he doesn't have any connection to the book other than he listens to my show. He didn't know my mother or anything like that. But, you know, to see like how genuinely excited he was for that whole thing. Paul is one of the good ones. He is one of the loyal friends of the show, and I can't thank him enough. Yeah, it's the Adventure of Hardy the Horse, by the way, for those who are. The book is available. It is on Amazon.com. Just for the record, it's not Harvey. Gamers, come on, it's Hardy. Hardy the horse. Anyway, thank you, Paul. He just dropped $350 here on this stream. Oh, I don't even know what to say. I am not often without speech. Usually I can't shut up, but I am without speech. Man. Let's pick up where we left off with your earlier super chats, because we got a whole shitload of them to get through. And I got a whole bunch of email questions, too. I don't even know if I'm going to get to all of them here. I pulled a whole bunch of email questions. I'll tell you what, whichever ones I don't get to, we'll use them on the show on Sunday. We got some good ones here. And if you ever want to email a question to the show, by the way, the Solomonster at gmail.com is the place to send it on into. Loop Cannon says, is it true that Shannon Moore was signed to a $3.4 million contract? Maybe. I'm sure it wasn't to wrestle, though. Paul says, Hardy the Horse makes me happy. Makes me happy, too. Every time I got the book behind me, actually, on one of my shelves. Wrestle Votes tweeted. I'm sure he did. Let's see here. Where'd we leave off? We left off with Donnie Games dropping $5. Congratulations on 14 years. It's also my birthday. It is my birthday. I will cry if I want to. You would cry too if you happen to watch Raw. Oh, I cry every week. Why do you think I don't go live when Raw goes off the air every Monday? My eyes are like bloodshot. They're all red and swollen. I don't want to go on camera looking like that. KC in the chat. KC to Mo. It's all good, brother. Just you being here, man. That's enough for me. Happy birthday, Donnie. Groovy Goose, congrats on 14. Watching you the past couple of years single-handedly brought me back into pro wrestling. Thank you so much. That's awesome. There's a lot of really good pro wrestling to go around. I'm glad I can bring you back. Just when I think I'm out, they pull me back in. The Solomonster pulls me back in. Angry Magma. I'll have $20 for you at a future stream. Funds are low. You don't have to apologize. I'm not going to be angry at you. Again, just support in any way you can. Hit that like button. Tell people about the show. You know anybody who's a wrestling fan who is looking to listen to podcasts, you say, hey, have you heard about this Solomonster guy? They'll be like, who? Solo what? I love the people who say Solomonster. Because they think, I host the show solo. It's a solo show. I have no co-host. So they think that's why it's Solomonster. It's not Solomonster, just for the record. Angry Magma, thank you for the support. Joshua Carlos, what is your contender or contenders for match of the year so far? Oh, man, I have, you put me on the spot here. I'm going to leave so many of them out. We had one on the Full Gear show last weekend. We had MJF against Darby Allin, one of the best opening matches you'll ever see on a pay-per-view. So Darby and MJF would definitely be on the list. I was a big fan of Sasha and Bianca at WrestleMania this year. The Lucha Bros against the Young Bucks for the AEW Tag Team titles in the cage was an incredible match. That would be on the list as well. But I'm going to leave so many of them out. I'm sure at the end of the year, I usually do a year in review, top 10 or whatever of the matches of the year. I'm sure we'll do one. We always do. Jonathan in the chat, have you ever did commentary for a wrestling match? I've done commentary for many wrestling matches, actually. I do commentary. I am part of a team, a commentary team for House of Glory, which is one of the bigger, more well-known independent promotions here on the East Coast. Bring in a lot of big names, and we have a lot of young talent coming through the House of Glory school run by the Amazing Red. And House of Glory did not run any shows for 2 years because of the pandemic. We just ran our first show just recently, just last week, last Friday. Born Again, packed house. We had the Amazing Red against Will Ospreay. It was an honor and a pleasure to call that main event. And it will be an honor and a pleasure to sit in on the call for the Amazing Red against Malachi Black, AEW's Malachi Black, coming to House of Glory in just a few weeks, December 11th. I believe that should be streaming on Fight TV as well. I don't know if the page is up yet. I'm hoping that one is streaming as well. Last week we streamed on Fight, and I'm hopeful that the next show will be as well. So if you want to listen to me do commentary, that's the place to do it. I'll keep you guys posted on that. Ospreay, by the way, against the Amazing Red was fucking awesome. If you saw their first match 2 years ago in the Super J Cup, I think this was every bit as good, if not better. I may be a little bit biased, but it's a great match. Which young wrestlers in Hog do I like? I don't want to make anybody feel bad, but you'll be hearing some names. You'll be hearing the name Charles Mason. Unless WWE makes him change it to fucking, Elmer Fudd or some fucking shit like that. Cashflow, Ken Broadway. I mean, God, Nolo Katana. There's so many talented young guys that are on the roster there. I shudder to think what their names would be, though, when and if they signed with WWE. What their names would be changed to. Shout out to Sid the Kid in the chat. Jamie Dorsch dropping $22. Happy 14 years. I want to start watching AEW. Which matches and feuds would you recommend checking out to catch up? Well, you know what? I will leave it to the chat to chime in on this too. Let Jamie know what he should be starting with first. I mean, the Hangman story was playing out for 2 years. And he and Kenny Omega had some incredible matches together when they were teaming up. The match with them against the Young Bucks at Revolution last year was outstanding. So that's something I think that's definitely, worth checking out. I'm trying to think if there's a specific feud going back to last year that I would tell somebody to start with. I don't know about starting with, though. I feel like... Uh-oh. What is this? Sean Ross Sapp tweeted about more WWE releases. Are we going to have breaking news here on this stream? So I'm reading that releases are coming. I don't know if that means tonight. I don't know if that means tomorrow. Tomorrow maybe it'll be Black Friday. We might have another Black Friday on our hands in WWE. This is ridiculous. This is just fucking ridiculous at this point. Unbelievable. Well, guys, keep me posted here. If Sean Ross Sapp announces any releases tonight, if there are names, let me know, and I will break here to go check the names out, and we'll do a breaking news update here on the stream. It's just, it's never ending with this company. It really is. I mean, it's one thing to trim the fat. I'm not saying WWE is the evil empire because they got rid of a few people they weren't using. I mean, it's one thing to get rid of a few people who aren't being used. It is another thing entirely to release so many people that you're basically releasing. You know, what you're doing with the number of people they have cut in the last year alone. It's an entire roster. An entire roster for an entire promotion could be put together just on the people that WWE has released this year. All right, so we have names. We have to break in here. We've got breaking news. I guess I picked the right night to stream. Let's go see what's going on here, guys, because unfortunately, we have WWE releases. And Fightful Sean Ross Sapp, he's very good with these updates, so I will check his Twitter out first here and see what the hell is going on. So here we go. This was tweeted out just 2 minutes ago by Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful.com. And would you look at this? Jesus Christ. Fightful has learned that WWE have released John Morrison, Top Dollar, Ashanti the Adonis, Isaiah Swerve Scott, Tegan Knox, Drake Maverick, Shane Thorne, and Jackson Riker. Now, Jackson Riker is an example, and even Shane Thorne, frankly, of people who were not being used by WWE for a very, very long time. Not just recently, but they were just kind of there, not being used, not really doing much of anything. Any other time, if WWE was not just mass murdering most of their roster, you would hear a name like a Shane Thorne or a Jackson Riker, and it's sad for them, but it's like, all right, I kind of understand it. But look at the names that are here, and I don't know if this is all the names, by the way. This was put out by, Sapp 2 minutes ago. So, for all I know, there could be more names coming here. But I want to, when Hit Row was in NXT, and there was talk about them coming to the main roster. I talked about this on the podcast. You guys heard me talk about this on the podcast. This was not a surprise. I talked about the concern that I had. They had something fun and fresh with Hit Row. It felt cool. It felt different. And I was happy because Isaiah Swerve Scott is somebody who was just sort of milling around on the NXT roster for so long with not much to do. And they really hit on something that was fun in NXT with Hit Row. B-Fab and Swerve Scott. Top Dollar was like the muscle of the group. Ashanti the Adonis, he was the smaller guy, but, he could work. He was fine. But they all complemented each other. They all worked well together as a unit. Those vignettes were shot, in a very cool way. And when I first started hearing about the fact that they might be called up, I said, this is not going to end well. It's just not going to end well. And people joke about it. Oh, Hit Row is going to become Skid Row or Death Row or whatever. But that was my concern. That was my fear. It took all of a few weeks when Hit Row got called up for them to basically kill the group because they got rid of B-Fab. We still don't know why B-Fab was released. Was B-Fab released because they didn't, think she was progressing fast enough? Was she just a casualty of budget cuts? Is she one of the people who didn't get vaccinated? We don't know. We don't know why B-Fab was cut. Doesn't matter why B-Fab was cut. The minute that she was let go, Hit Row, that was the beginning of the end for Hit Row. I said on my review last week when I talked about SmackDown, seeing those three together without B-Fab in the back last week, it just didn't feel the same. Hit Row was already done. They never had a chance because they got called up and already they chopped them off at the legs. They got rid of one member already. And it is, I look at this list. And I see they have now gotten rid of all of Hit Row. And I don't want to sit here and tell you that I told you so and laugh about it because it's really not funny. It's just fucking sad. Top Dollar went and shot his mouth off on Twitter when everybody was talking about Hit Row being called up and put on SmackDown. And a lot of people were doing that because they liked Hit Row. They were only saying, voicing their concern about their future. And Top Dollar went off on all these people and said, well, all those other people that were cut, maybe they just couldn't cut it. That was basically what he was saying. Maybe they couldn't cut the mustard. And I thought, what a tone-deaf, stupid fucking thing for this guy to be saying. We'll see if he's singing the same tune in a few months. Remember I said that? I didn't think it would happen this quickly, but I said, let's see if he's singing the same tune in 6 months. Not even a month, I don't think. Right? The roster changes went into effect October 22nd. What's today? November 18th. Not even a full 4 weeks. All 4 members of Hit Row gone from WWE. One of the many reasons why you shouldn't shoot your mouth off when you are in a situation like that, because you may end up on the cut list next. Nobody in this company is safe outside of Roman Reigns. If your name is anything but Roman Reigns or Joe, whatever, what's his last name? I was going to say Joe Anoa'i, but it is Joe Anoa'i. Yeah. For some reason, I thought it was Samoa Joe. Unless your name is Roman Reigns, you are not safe in this company. Bray Wyatt wasn't safe. Braun Strowman wasn't safe. Aleister Black wasn't safe. And Hit Row was not safe. So WWE takes yet another act that got over, that was fun, that had potential, literally fired every single one of them. You cannot make this shit up. You cannot make this shit up. And just like that, Top Dollar goes bankrupt. I feel bad for Swerve Scott. He deserved better. Shane Strickland is a talented guy who wasted far too much time doing much of nothing working for WWE. And right when he got his opportunity, they put the North American title on him. He had one of the worst North American title reigns of anybody in the history of that NXT brand. He defended the title, I think, once and lost it. Gets called up to the main roster, his big break, and he gets fired. Where is the justice in that? And we'll hear, budget cuts. We'll hear budget cuts. John Laurinaitis will send an email out. Budget cuts, kid. Not your fault. Budget cuts, kid. It's all the same bullshit every single time. We go through this cycle every other month. There'll be more. There may be more releases this week. We don't know. There's going to be more of these. But the fact that all of Hit Row is now gone. It's a reason why I voice my concern when it comes to the people that I like in NXT and why my attachment to NXT is at an all-time low. I'm this close from completely giving up on NXT. Because why would anybody in their right fucking mind invest an ounce of their time in getting behind anybody on that show? Braun Breaker, Carmelo Hayes. They have talented people on that show. Why would I waste any of my time rooting for them to succeed and do well and go to the main roster and go to Raw, go to SmackDown when I know exactly what lies ahead? Nothing but doom and gloom. Maybe Braun Breaker will be one of those lucky ones. For every lucky one that goes from NXT to the main roster, you've got 4 or 5 other ones who aren't so lucky. Why would anybody invest their time in getting behind any of these people on that show? It is a waste of fucking time. And this is just the latest example of this. Drake Maverick, obviously he got cut once before and he cried and he got rehired, and I don't think the crying is going to help him this time. So Drake Maverick is gone. And Drake Maverick is someone who, you can plug him into pretty much anything you need him to do. But I'm just checking to see. Here we go. John Laurinaitis, the latest update. John Laurinaitis cited budget cuts as the reason in his email to all of the talent. Well, I hope they at least called them and didn't just send an email. It would have been nice if he picked up the phone and at least gave them the courtesy of a phone call. But I look at some of these other names here. John Morrison. Couldn't find anything for John Morrison to do. They had John Morrison and Taya Valkyrie both working for the same company at the same time. Never thought to put the two of them together. They worked really well together on Lucha Underground. Husband and wife, they played off each other very well. And they never even thought, maybe we should put the two of them together. Now that Morrison is no longer with Miz, we can have Morrison and Taya, and they could be a combo on TV. But then again, I thought Scarlett and Karrion Kross would make a good combo on TV. And I guess I was just a fucking idiot for thinking that. What is with this company? What is with Vince McMahon? What does he have against putting the men and the women together? With the valet, that whole thing. It's like he has some allergy to it, apparently. He doesn't like doing it anymore, I guess. I mean, there have been a lot of really successful pairings like that over the years. He doesn't seem all too interested in that anymore. We have Tegan Nox. Now, Tegan Nox is someone who got bit by the injury bug. Her knee exploded, and then her other knee exploded. She had knee injuries going back many, many years. And missed a lot of time due to injury, but she came back. Her and Shotzi Blackheart were called up as a tag team. They broke them up in the draft. And Shotzi has been getting television time on SmackDown. Tegan has not. And that maybe should have been a telltale sign right there that her future was not very bright in this company. But Tegan Nox, I feel bad for. Injuries really took away a lot of prime years where maybe she could have built herself up and she would have been protected from something like this. I think they probably just looked at her and saw her as a liability who was expendable. I think that probably is what they did, honestly. They probably looked at her and said, well, we're probably not going to really get much out of her, so let's just cut bait and we'll call it budget cuts. So here we go again, right? I feel like this is a deja vu all over again. I'm sure I will have more to say on this on Sunday. We'll see if any more information comes out on this tomorrow, but unbelievable. All of Hit Row wiped out. It's like a cyclone came through and just swept them up in like a fucking funnel cloud and took them out to sea. Hit Row drafted to SmackDown. Not even a month later, they're gone, fired from WWE. Hey, Ollie, I'll hit me. Thank you for the super chat. 14 more years, he says. Fan of the show since 2013 from Qatar. Is it Qatar or Qatar? I usually say Qatar. I want to make sure I'm pronouncing it properly. But Ollie, thank you, man. I appreciate that. So if you are tuned in late, we have breaking news that I just ran through here. Another batch of WWE releases. With some big names, including John Morrison and all the remaining members of Hit Row. They are now gone, fired from WWE. And there could potentially be more releases coming. This, according to Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful.com. I will have more to say on this. Right now, let's just get back to your super chats here. Man, I was not expecting that, but I guess I couldn't have picked a better night to be streaming, unfortunately. This was supposed to be a happy stream, too. We're not supposed to be sitting here talking about people losing their jobs. Qatar. It is Qatar? Okay, well, then we will call it Qatar from now. I've been calling it Qatar for so many years. I've been doing it wrong this entire time. I apologize. But I was hoping for this to not have some horrible news like that. Well, I guess the fact that Toni Storm was added to the Survivor Series team this Sunday is probably good for her. Since they already replaced one person on Team SmackDown, I wouldn't think that they want to get rid of another one before Sunday, so she's at least safe for another week. I don't have high hopes for her on the main roster. I really don't. I don't get the sense they get her. I don't think they're really a big fan of hers. And I worry about her future, too. Boy, you know, if I would have known that this was going to happen, I would have poured... I only got a little bit left here. I would have poured more of this Stoli here. I feel like I need another one. All right, let's get back to your Super Chat questions. We have a lot of them to get through here. Running the Ropes Wrestling Podcast says, congrats on 14 years. Here's to many more. Thank you, sir. Yeah, boy, what do you think the developers of the WWE 2K video games think about all this? That is one job I do not want. I do not want to work on the WWE video game. I would be pulling my fucking hair out of its roots. How do you even put a video game roster together at this point? How do you do a video game? How do you do a video game for this company? How do you do a video game for AEW? Because they keep signing all these people who leave WWE. So their roster is changing almost as much as the WWE one, only they're adding people. WWE is subtracting. How do these developers put a video game roster together under these conditions? These are like battlefield conditions. How do you do it? Yes, Dried Chicken, Hit Row did get released. All right, so apparently there's some drama going on here on Taya Valkyrie's Twitter. Boy, we love these breaking news updates here, don't we? Let's see what she's saying. I'm sure she's not very happy. She was not very happy about being released herself. I can't imagine she's very happy about her husband being released. So everybody is talking about Taya. Let's go see what she's saying here. All right. Well, her first tweet from 20 minutes ago was, yo, fuck them. Her next tweet was, stop supporting a company that has zero respect for their talent. You love pro wrestling, spend your money on the hundreds of other alternatives. This is wrong. Ethically, as employers, they don't care about us, talent, or fans. So Taya, obviously not very happy, has every right to feel that way. She said nothing there that was untrue. I said this weeks ago with the last round of releases. These are, you know, they talk about WWE being one big family. WWE is not one big family. The talent, the wrestlers, they are names on a sheet of paper. They are numbers in a spreadsheet that someone is, you know, crunching in the office. That's all they are. They're a number. They're a cog in the wheel. CM Punk said it best when he did his pipe bomb promo all those years ago. He's a cog in the wheel. And what WWE has shown is that is the case. That is how they view their talent. They view them as just a cog in the wheel. When that cog is no longer needed, they will remove the cog and replace it with something else. And they'll move on, and the machine rolls on. So she has every right to be upset, and everything that she said there in that tweet is 100% true. And I think you're going to see more people going off on them as well. And rightfully so. Keep me posted, by the way, in the chat. Any other breaking news, I'll cover it here live on the stream. I'm sure we'll talk about this in a few minutes here again. Anti-M Bishop, thank you for the $14 super chat, man. Very nice of you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Joseph Brooks, which of these nightmare scenarios sounds worse? Giant Gonzalez against the Great Khali or a Rosa Mendez title reign? LOL. Congrats on 14 years. I think Giant Gonzalez against Khali would be perversely entertaining in like a car crash kind of way. Andrew Heller with the $14 super chat. Has it been 14 years already? Jeebus, time goes fast. Happy anniversary. I know, it's hard to believe. Yeah, Notorious Finesser in the chat. Swerve, Top Dollar, and Ashanti the Adonis are all gone. SSB with the $20 super chat drop. Solomonster, quick question. How would you rank the different wrestling styles? Japanese, American WWE, American NWA, WCW, Luchador. Well, Lucha Libre, I assume you mean. Modern indie. Oh, I don't know. I enjoy the Japanese strong style. I enjoy... Yeah, I enjoy English strong style as well, as he calls it here, English strong style. I enjoy all the styles, you know, to varying degrees. You know, even Lucha Libre. I'm not a huge fan of Lucha Libre rules and stuff like that, but I think a company should have a little bit of everything. And I think when you only have one type of wrestling, it gets fucking boring. That's why it's so great to have variety on your shows. I think AEW has more variety on their shows than WWE does, which is one of the things I think they have a leg up on WWE in that way. CJ LaChapelle, better luck to your Mets next season. What is with the heat between you? Yeah, we're not getting into that. CJ, thank you. I like Conan. I have no idea what you're talking about, even with Conan, so... the Gilf Lover, what was your opinion on Mr. Kennedy in WWE? Wasted potential. Wasted potential. Screwed himself, put his own foot in his mouth. But should have been much, much bigger than he was. Yeah, you know, one of the things, by the way, about John Morrison being released is the fact that, you know, we might get Johnny Mundo back. No more Johnny Drip Drip. No more dripstick with Johnny Mundo. We'll get the real Johnny Mundo back. Maybe Johnny and Taya even together doing stuff. Maybe they go somewhere together. Hey, Steven Chappa, thank you. Just dropped a $150 bomb here on the stream. Steven Chappa, thank you, sir. Happy 14th. I appreciate that. Thank you for everything. Steven has been another big supporter of the streams here. Dropping the 150 here on the 14-year anniversary stream. Johnny Rampage. I like it. I like that. I like that name, Johnny Rampage. Look, you know, AEW is not the only place to go. MLW is doing their thing. Hell, we'd love to have John Morrison make some appearances in House of Glory. I'm sure the powers that be in House of Glory will try to get their hands on him too. We'd love to have him in. Imagine him wrestling the Amazing Red or some of the other great talent we have on the Hog roster. But when it comes to, you know, bigger promotions like an AEW or an MLW, John Morrison has other places that he can land where I think his talents will be better utilized than they were in WWE. What has John Morrison been doing for weeks on television? What has he been doing on Monday Night Raw? He's been sitting in the back, namaste. Namaste. He's been meditating in the back. He's been using dripsticks and spraying people with water. Moist TV. That's the best they could come up with for John Morrison. Moist TV. You know what? Fuck these people. They don't deserve to have somebody like him on their roster. If that's the best that they could do with a John Morrison. Moist TV and dripsticks were WWE's great idea. You know what? Fuck them. He's better off going somewhere else. They did him a fucking favor. That's how I look at it. That's their great creative idea for John Morrison. Fuck the idiots who came up with that dripstick shit. Evan Schaff, or Shafe. Evan, what's going on, man? $10 super chat. Congrats on the anniversary. What has been your favorite New Japan match of 2021? Vitamin Vision, thank you. My favorite New Japan match of 2021. He says he's torn between Kota Ibushi against Jay White and Shingo against Zack Sabre Jr. You know, it might be, was it Shingo and Ospreay, I think, had a great match. But the matches of Wrestle Kingdom, yeah, the Wrestle Kingdom stuff, it's so early in the year. By the time we get to the end of the year, I kind of forget about all the matches from Wrestle Kingdom. But there was some great stuff between Ospreay and Shingo. I'm going to have a lot to choose from when we get to the end of next month and I try to put together my list. You guys are putting me on the spot here. I don't remember all of the various matches from all the different promotions. Shingo and Okada, that's right. Let me just do a quick check and see if there have been more releases. I just want to make sure if there are that we cover them here. Again, we are covering breaking news if you are tuning in late here live on the stream. Unfortunately, there has been another rash of WWE releases. And I am just checking to see. All right, so I don't see any new names, so I don't believe any have happened yet, but we're going to be here for a while, so if they do, I will let you guys know. I will keep you in the loop. I'm just checking a few different places right now. I want to make sure I keep you guys on point here. The Hit Row thing, I mean, a lot of these releases, the Morrison one really burns my ass, but the Hit Row thing is, it's so unnecessary. Because it's one thing to have somebody on your roster that you call up, right? Or you have on your roster, you're not really using him, you get rid of him. It's sad because I don't want to see anybody lose their job. You know, even Nia Jax, and I was not a big Nia Jax fan, and Nia Jax had no business being on the main roster. She had no business being on TV. But I never came on the podcast and said, you know, that woman should be fired. She should be thrown into the street. I don't wish that on anybody because that's got to be one of the shit, unless there's a good reason for it. That's different. But it's a sad situation for everybody involved. Hit Row. I mean, think about how badly they jerked these people around. They dangled the carrot in front of them. We're going to call you up to SmackDown. We're going to put you on Fox. This is going to be your big break, right? You hit on something really special here in NXT. We see it. We hear you. We're going to bring you up. You're going to get a big push. And they call you up, and within a matter of weeks, it's almost like psych. It's like putting a contract in front of somebody, and they go to sign it, and you yank it away from them and just, you know, spit in their face and rip it up in front of them and throw it away. The way they jerk these people around, and I think that's the point that Taya was getting at with her tweet, is that this is not a company that has shown any kind of real empathy for any of these individuals that they have released. And it's especially bad with the people they've called up to television and then they cut them. They did that with Aleister Black, where he came back, they started pushing him. 1 week, he had a segment with Big E on SmackDown, and guess what happened? He was fired. It's bad enough to fire people, but to jerk their chain and to jerk them around like that before they get fired, I mean, it takes an extra special level of asshole, I think, to do that. And so WWE deserves any of the scorn they get from any of these people. And there's going to be a lot of it. I'm sure a lot of vitriol is going to be thrown their way. They deserve every ounce of it because the way that they handle these releases is disgusting. It is disgusting. It is embarrassing. And it shows, I think, their true colors as far as how they really, you know, feel about the people who work for them. And they deserve to be called out on it. Mic Drop Hooligan. The new Batman looks dope. Do you agree, Solomonster? What little I've seen, it does look pretty cool. I just haven't seen too much yet. Will Moore, you know, in the chat brings up a good point about Hit Row just signing main roster contracts. So that's just goes to the point that I just made about them being jerked around. If they sign main roster contracts, and I'm guessing they all did, that was the story on BFAB. Days before she was released, she had signed a main roster contract. Because they signed a main roster contract, I assume they're all under 90-day non-competes. If they were under their NXT deals, it would be 30 days. If they're under WWE main roster deals, now they have to wait 90 days. Now they get paid It's not like they're not going to be paid for 90 days, but they can't go anywhere for 90 days. So that's like an extra fuck you on the way out. It's like, hey, we're going to get rid of you, so we just wanted to say fuck you. But by the way, that contract you just signed, 90 days, you're going to have to sit at home. So double fuck you. I'm telling you, it's an extra level of assholery, I guess. I just invented that word. An extra level of assholery on the part of this company when it comes to how they handle this stuff. Daniel O'Neill celebrating my 22nd birthday with the Solomonster. Pretty cool. Happy 14th anniversary. Thank you, sir. And I see Joseph Brooks also dropping some love here. We are talking about the WWE releases. We have a bunch of people who are coming on in here, so stick around. I just talked about the releases. I will get back to that here in a little bit, but right now, what we are really doing here tonight is supposed to be celebrating the Sound Off and 14 years of doing this podcast, and it's supposed to be a happy time, and unfortunately, we have some not-so-happy stuff to talk about. Joseph Brooks, if 2000 was the best year of the Attitude Era, creative, what was the best year of the Ruthless Aggression Era and the PG Era? I know this one is hard. God, Ruthless Aggression, I guess, there was good stuff in 2002 and 2003. And then I feel like it just kind of fell off a cliff there for a while. PG Era, that is very hard. That is very hard. I would almost say 2011, because the stuff with Punk and Cena, when Punk really got hot, that made things pretty exciting there for a while. So that probably would get my vote. Bryant Becerra, congratulations on 14 years. Bryant, thank you. Bryant has won his share of Wrestle Rumble contests and the belt giveaways and stuff. I got to ask Bryant for some lottery numbers one of these days. Yeah, 2008, that's a good point. 2008 was a pretty strong year, I'd say. Anderson Blitz, been a fan since 2016. I will be at Survivor Series on Sunday and excited mainly because it is my first WWE event in 2 years. Well, have fun. It is always fun when you go to the shows live. I feel like we're living through the Survivor Series every month. Every time we hear about these WWE releases, it is basically like their version of the real-life version of the Survivor Series. It's like their version of the Hunger Games every month. The Gilf Lover. So if Kevin Owens joins AEW, who is his first feud? Oh, I don't know. I'm not even thinking that far ahead. I would love to see him there. I hope he ends up there. He's another one WWE doesn't deserve. But it's very enticing to want to see Owens and Punk. They just missed each other in WWE. Punk left in 2014. Owens came up to the main roster in 2015. They just, like two ships passing in the night, they just missed each other. Naif Al-Safar, what's going on, Naif? Thank you, brother, for the $10 super chat. I appreciate that. Oh, there's Bulu. I see Bulu. I thought Bulu was missing. Bulu's in the chat. Welcome to Bulu Fatulu. Darius Smith, Alexa Bliss was definitely eyeing you in that intro video. Mr. Steal Your Girl. She is a very beautiful woman. It was very nice to be able to interview her at that 2K event a few years ago. Yes, I played a little bit of an intro video with some clips for those of you who tuned in late. You can go back on the replay and watch it back. Professor John Gotti. I'm only first getting to the Professor Super Chat here. He dropped a $300 bomb earlier in the stream. Just to say congrats. Take this token of my appreciation. I take it with great respect, sir. Thank you. You know, anybody who parts with their money, even if it's, $3 or $5, let alone $300, that means a lot. That means a lot. Yeah, Gavin, I did talk about the releases, and I will get back to that here in a second. So stick around here for a little bit. Just so you know, guys, at this point, I don't know if I'm going to get to any of these email questions. I was hoping to. We'll see what happens here, but I was not, unfortunately, expecting that breaking news, so we got to get through these super chats first, and then we'll see if we get to any of the emails. Anything I don't get to, we'll just use it on the Sunday show, so not a big deal. But we will get to the releases again, I promise you. A new batch of WWE releases. Some insane releases tonight to talk about here again in a little bit. Lakers Pats, Brie Bella voice, let's go Solomonster. He's going into Brie mode. Nick Grasso, congrats on 14 years. NXT is getting harder to sit through every week. And I still don't know what a Von Wagner is, but he looks like Buffalo Bill from Silence of the Lambs. Oh, my God. He does look a little like Buffalo. I called him Chrome Magnum Man the other day. It's that forehead. King Bling Blah. Dropping 14. Happy 14 years. I've never heard you talk about Wrestling Society X. What did you think about it? It was a 10-episode... 30-minute wrestling pyro happy show on MTV in 2007. I saw one episode of Wrestling Society X. Somebody fell, landed on an exploding, it might have been a barbed wire board or something. Might have been Vampiro. I don't remember who it was. That was the only episode I saw, which is why you don't hear me talking about it, because that was the extent to which I watched Wrestling Society X. I know Eric Bischoff had this thing that he was part of for a while called Matt Rats many years ago. That was a fucking fail. Isaiah Lucero, you're the GOAT when it comes to wrestling podcasts. Thank you, sir. Jordan D. Paola, how has doing the show affected your dating life? That's an interesting question. Jordan, thank you. Well, I mean, not in a positive way, because this show has basically consumed my life. There's always something going on, and I feel like, I can't even go on vacation because I feel like I'll just end up missing something. So that's kind of the drawback. Not that I'm complaining. I love doing the show. Don't get me wrong, but it doesn't leave a lot of time for much else. But beyond that, I will keep that to myself. But thank you, Jordan. The Gilf Lover, pick one singles wrestler and tag team you love from each era. Growing up, I was a big fan of Demolition and the Hart Foundation. I mean, too many to just keep it to one. Demolition, Hart Foundation, Randy Savage, Mr. Perfect. Mid-90s, you had Bret Hart. Trying to think of tag team. Well, Money Inc. Well, that really wasn't mid-90s. That was more early 90s. Attitude Era, of course, you had Austin. Who doesn't like watching Austin beat up on Vince McMahon? Of course, that was always fun. I was a big fan of the hardcore title stuff. When Crash Holly was going around with the hardcore title, they try to kind of mimic that now with the 24/7 title, but it's not the same. Crash Holly is another one, gone way, way, way too early. It's very sad how his life came to an end. Luke Crane, out at the club right now here in the UK, but gotta say congrats on 14 years. Always look forward to listening every week. Much love. So Luke is out at the club. He's at the discotheque. It's where I would be right now if it wasn't for doing this show. It's like Jordan was asking me before. I'd be at the club with Luke. He'd be on one side of the club. I'd be on the other. I'd be his wingman. He'd be mine. Joshua Carlos, some enjoy him, but Rollins is unbearable on TV. His promos are unbearable. I agree. I have a deep hatred for a lot of his promos when he comes out and starts talking. Brian H. the Green Boy, congrats on 14 years. You are my favorite podcaster. Well, thank you. That's very nice of you to say that. Ace of Masta, happy birthday to the podcast. Thank you for the $10, Mr. Masta. Brian the Green Boy again. In what order do you think Adam Cole, Jungle Boy, Malachi Black, Pac should be AEW World Champion? Of those four that you named, I would probably go, from a personal standpoint, probably would go Black, Cole, Pac, and then Jungle Boy. Jungle Boy's a ways off. He's nowhere near ready for that spot. So Jungle Boy would be at the bottom of that list for me. All these releases, everybody is talking about it in the chat, and I will get back to that in a second. I went on a bit of a rant if you missed it a little while ago. But with these releases, it does feel like they're firing everybody to the point where you wonder who's going to be left when all is said and done. Who's going to be left at this point? EJ Slemp, in honor of Thanksgiving coming up, buy or sell on the best Starrcade Thanksgiving cage match. Flair and Race in 83 or Tully and Magnum TA in 85. I like Tully and Magnum in 85. Right? That was for the US, not TV, right? US title. Bret Hart, happy anniversary. I still remember that podcast you did the night when Ivan Koloff defeated San Martino for the title. By far my favorite episode. You go back that far, don't you? That was a great one. I do remember that sound off. That was a great show. I particularly am very fond of the sound off that I did the night that Bruno broke his neck in the ring. And Bruno also wrestled Larry Zbyszko in the cage at Shea Stadium. The post-show stream was very eventful that night. A lot of super chats back in 1980. Plus Adrian, or plus Ultra Adrian, I'm sorry. $20 super chat drop here on this anniversary stream. Love the work you do. Keep up the great work. Thank you. Chauncey Curry, happy 14th. You're a legend in the game. I don't know about that, but I like to think I've carved out my little niche here in this wrestling community. Shaheen Alatar dropping $20. Congrats on 14 years of the podcast. Thank you for doing what you do. Wish you all the best and success and good health. Here's to many more years of the Solomonster Sounds Off. Let us hope. Let us hope I am around here doing this for a very long time to come. Yeah, somebody in the chat asked about Timothy Thatcher. He has not popped up on any of the cut lists, but I don't know if he's injured. He has not been on NXT television in quite some time. So I don't know what's up with him. I'm just double checking here on PW Insider. Just to make sure that there have not been any additional releases, and there have not been. But if you are unaware, Hit Row became Shit Row, unfortunately, tonight. Hit Row is no more. Hit Row was pretty much dead, I think, when B-Fab was cut, because everything about Hit Row just worked really well with the four of them, and that should have been just a bad omen right there when that happened. That was a very ominous sign. Even I gave them more credit than to think they would fire all the remaining members of the group, 2 weeks later. It's a fucking joke. But, Top Dollar is going to be getting a lot of shit, I'm sure, on Twitter, because he made those comments on social media weeks and weeks ago when people were talking about Hit Row being called up and how they're going to be buried. And by the way, I wonder where his head's at on that now. What does he think now? Now that it's happened to him, I wonder if he still feels the same way about all those people who were just voicing their concerns about what WWE was going to do with Hit Row. And he went off and said, well, that's not us. I'm going to block. He was blocking anybody who said anything about Hit Row, anything other than, we're so happy for you being on SmackDown now. He was blocking everybody on Twitter. And he was saying maybe those other people who got cut couldn't cut it. I mean, shit that was just really fucking dumb for him to say. I'm not even going to shit on him, though, too much, because, again, I'm sure he's shell-shocked by this. I don't think he saw this coming. I'm sure none of these people saw this coming. Well, Jackson Riker maybe should have seen it coming, but this was inevitable. There's a reason why when these things happen, I say the things that I say. I don't just say it for the sake of saying it. I don't say it to be funny. I say it because it's how I feel. And every time I find somebody on the NXT brand that I really enjoy their work, or I find them entertaining, and this is why I feel the same way about Cameron Grimes. You know, Cameron Grimes is fantastic. Cameron Grimes is somebody on the NXT roster who has the potential to be a breakout babyface. I don't want to say on the level of a Daniel Bryan, but kind of like a Daniel Bryan breakout babyface. You know, the little babyface runt of the main roster who they don't picture at a certain level, but the fans get behind him, and maybe one day he actually gets to that level. He could be that type of babyface on the main roster. And so I struggle when I say, do I want to see this guy go up to Raw and SmackDown, or do I not? The answer is no, I don't. I don't. Because as soon as he gets called up, his fate will be very similar to the fate that has befallen many of the people that we talked about here tonight. The B-Fabs and the Swerve Scotts and the Top Dollars and the Ashanti the Adonises and the Tegan Knoxes. Tegan was also cut tonight. And it makes it very, very hard and very, very difficult to root for any of these people to go to either of these two shows. For every Bianca Belair or Damian Priest who actually makes it and seems to be doing well, there are far too many people who don't. And not everybody is going to make it to the major leagues and find success. It's like a baseball player. A lot of minor league players never even make it to the majors. And if they make it to the majors, maybe they'll hit one home run. And that'll be their big claim to fame. There aren't as many pro wrestlers out there, though, as there are baseball players and aspiring basketball players and football players. The wrestling world, the wrestling ecosystem is actually a lot smaller than you may think, relative to all other sports that are out there. There's a smaller pool of talent to choose from. And the percentage of people who end up not making it and getting fucked over here is far bigger than it should be. There are a lot of quality talents that were cut tonight, that were cut a few weeks ago, that were cut a few months ago, who did not deserve the fate that they got. Keith Lee is another one. Karrion Kross. I mean, we can go on and on. So there are a lot of very talented people now who are going to be available in 90 days' time. And Tony Khan has got to be licking his lips because it seems like, you know, every couple of months when things sort of die down, there's this other wave of talent that becomes available. And WWE's loss, I mean, they may not see it this way because obviously they didn't give a shit, but WWE's loss is going to be AEW's gain, MLW's gain, Impact's gain, New Japan's gain. Other promotions will benefit from this. But it's got to be, for some of these people that spend 5 fucking years, 3 years in developmental, just to be shit on. Vince McMahon and Bruce Pritchard, they pull their fucking pants down and take a shit on some of these people. It's got to be completely demoralizing for them because they have to look at it and go, what have I done? What have I wasted the last 3, 4, 5, 6 years of my career toiling away to finally, come up and for this to happen to me? I've wasted the prime years of my career. They just take a dump on every single one of these people. Yeah, GCW is another one. GCW will be a benefit. Every promotion out there should be keeping tabs on every single one of these people. Scorpio Sky's well-trimmed beard, dropping $20. Survivor Series used to be the setup for WrestleMania. Survivor Series used to be the setup for WrestleMania. That is not the case anymore. Yeah, Nick, I mentioned House of Glory. I mentioned that earlier. House of Glory. I'm looking at this list and I'm already picturing people whose matches I'll hopefully be able to call in a few months. Every independent promotion should be ready and waiting to, pick some of these people up and bring them in and just let them do what they do best. Take the handcuffs off, let them go out there and wrestle and work and be themselves. Jonathan, no, I don't watch Impact week to week. I do pay attention to the big events. I am aware of, who the champions are and what's going on. I'm happy Moose is getting his shot with the title now, but no, I stopped watching Impact week to week a number of years ago because I gave them chance after chance after chance, and they, fucked it up. So that, and also the interest level just wasn't there. I could say the same about WWE, but the fact is, people still pay attention to WWE and AEW. That was less and less the case with Impact, and it just wasn't fun anymore. Dada and Boy Podcast, your podcaster goals. I'm at 56 subs currently. I strive to be where you are at in 14 years. You shouldn't strive to be where I'm at. You should strive to be even better than where I'm at. I always strive to go higher than I am. I'm never happy. We have 66,000 subs on this channel. We'd be at least 75 or more if I had really started putting the effort into the YouTube channel a few years earlier than I did, because I had this channel for many years, and I didn't really do much with it. Again, we talked about TV tracks. He would run my clips, and I would focus on the audio show, and I wasn't really doing video stuff, and it's one of my great regrets is not focusing on YouTube sooner. So as happy as I am to have 66,000 people sub to this channel, hopefully soon to be 70, we'd be a lot higher if I had put the time and effort into the channel sooner. And so I beat myself up over that. I always strive to do better. These are nice milestones that we've hit, but I always want to kind of take it to that next level. And I think that's the key. Anybody who does a show or a YouTube channel of their own, you should always strive to do better than you did the day before. Don't ever settle. You can always be doing better than you're doing right now. It's up to you to make it happen. Drew Russell, happy 14th. Glad to be a fan. Thank you for being cool. Thank you, Drew. King Bling, winning Survivor Series team. Next pay-per-view, Fatal 5-Way elimination. Winner faces any world champion on any brand at the Royal Rumble, and they get to pick the stipulation. That's not bad. That's not bad. Ariana, yes, I did. I did cover the releases, and again, we will be getting into that again here in a second. So if you are tuning in late, I'm sure the people on the audio download are going to be annoyed by me constantly bringing this up. But we have a bunch of new people who keep popping into the stream. We have talked about tonight's releases. It is a very shitty situation, and I will be talking more about that. So stick around here. Right now, we're celebrating 14 years of the Sound Off, just kind of hanging out. I'm taking your questions, your super chat questions. I'm trying to also see what's going on in the live chat as well. Gooch Suplex Hold. Today is his birthday. Also, where is Tegan Knox? Oh, talk about bad timing. He sent that super chat in 2 hours ago before the news broke. Holy fuck. You talk about bad timing. Well, Gooch, I hate to break the news to you, but Tegan Knox is no longer employed by WWE. She was part of this round of releases that was just announced, and she is no longer on the main roster. So, but happy birthday! I wish I had better birthday news for you. Chase Wood, dropping the $50 super chat. Chase, I have you're actually the first email. Chase is the first email I had all queued up here, and I don't know if I'm going to get to it tonight. But Chase says, celebrating tonight with a nice whiskey ginger. Happy 14 years. Thank you, sir. Mic Drop Hooligan, who is your favorite main character from GTA 3 to GTA 5? You know what? It's been so long. I played GTA 3, the PC version, many years ago. I love that game. I was addicted to that game. And I don't remember any of the characters. I just went around shooting people, running them over with my car. So I don't know. It's been so long. I just don't remember. JD Starlord, yeah, you missed about 3 different rants. And there might be a 4th one soon. I miss Fun Games 87, dropping $10. Was Triple H supposed to be in the spot that Chris Jericho was in because he always seemed out of place, even winning the Undisputed title. It just seemed like he was one level below the top guys. Was Triple H supposed to be in Jericho's spot? I mean, Triple H was in a much better spot than Jericho was in. Maybe I'm misreading the question. I'm not sure what you mean by that, but I don't believe so, no. Fire Panda 007, good evening, Solomonster. Happy anniversary. Thank you, Panda. Uffman Entertainment, congratulations again. So, what are you saying in that super chat where you're dressed like Hogan? Clearly, you mentioned some type of vitamins. Here's to another 14 years. Well, if you drop a Hundy bomb, it'll pop up. You get to rewatch it and see for yourself. Now, I was cutting a Hulkamania promo. I don't remember what I said. Probably something about brother Jack Dude. Ricardo De Jesus. What skills have you learned from podcasting that has helped in your everyday life? And any technical nightmares that come to mind as well. Oh, there have been a lot of technical nightmares. We had one on the stream here back in early August that really pissed me off. And thankfully, I fixed that issue, and that hasn't happened ever since. Knock on wood. Hopefully, I didn't just jinx it. Where the stream just started lagging and it went all haywire, and you always do that. Thankfully, only one time that I can remember, I recorded a good chunk of the podcast, and before I had a chance to save my progress, I got hit by a blue screen. Anybody who is a Windows user knows the blue screen of death, and I got hit by a blue screen, and I probably lost almost an hour of audio. I wanted to throw myself out the window. And I have taken measures to make sure that does not happen ever again. If you're a podcaster, that is the absolute worst feeling in the world. When you have recorded audio or video, and a lot of it, and then the system crashes or freezes, and you're not sure if it's saved or not, doesn't necessarily auto-save, that is about the worst feeling that you could possibly experience. What have I learned from podcasting that's helped me in my everyday life? Honestly, I feel like it has helped as far as public speaking. Because even though I'm sitting in a room, physically in this room at this moment, there's one person in this room. I am, communicating to thousands of people every single week. And we're live right now. There's no net. This is not a taped show here. This is not like an episode of Rampage. So doing that so many times, I feel like has made me more comfortable in doing public speaking. And even in my main job, the PR job, for clients and stuff, I've been the MC for certain events. I have to get up at a podium in front of, a room full of a couple of hundred people. And it can be very nerve-wracking. But I actually feel like this show has helped in that regard, as far as, stuff like that is concerned. I don't know. Otherwise, just, generally being organized. You got to be organized when you have all this news to cover every week. That has actually helped me in other areas of my life as well. So, I hope that helps. You're live, pal. That's right. Epsilon Sama says, we're live, pal. There ain't no safety net here. We're live. There ain't no 7-second delay on this stream. Marcus the Entertainer. What makes you think that Toni Storm will all of a sudden be a star? She has never been portrayed as a star on any brand. Oh, I never said that I had any inclination that WWE is going to make her a star. I said she should be a star. She has all the tools that she needs to be a star. Especially after tonight, I don't believe that she'll ever get a fair shake on this roster because I half expect her to be part of the next round of releases. In fact, she may go on to win its Survivor Series and get a big push, and then 2 weeks later she'll be on the chopping block. Because apparently that's just the way things work now in WWE. And yes, Cuba, I see you in the chat. Cuba the GOAT. We talked about the releases multiple times, and I'm going to talk more about it here in a second. So I did not miss it. So I see you. You can stop posting those messages. There just does not seem to be any rhyme or reason to a lot of these releases that we have seen over the past year. And it makes me wonder, you know, who ultimately is responsible? I mean, Vince McMahon is ultimately responsible. These releases don't happen if Vince McMahon does not rubber stamp them. But I don't think Vince McMahon is sitting there, you know, with his pen, making a list and checking it twice of all the people that he wants to cut, looking at the roster page on WWE.com. Somebody is putting a list together of who they think should be cut and passing it along to this guy so that he can sign off on it. I want to know who the person or people are who are responsible, because these lists make no sense. In a lot of cases, these lists make absolutely no sense. The hit row thing is inexcusable. The hit row thing is inexcusable. It's like one hand doesn't know what the other hand is doing. One hand says, we're going to lift you up to the main roster. And the other hand says, nope, back down you go. This company, one person doesn't know what the other person is doing. There's no quality control in this company right now. That's the problem that we're dealing with here. Hooligan, thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed the commentary from House of Glory the other night. Mic Drop Hooligan, choose or lose mac and cheese donuts, or peanut butter French fries. Good Lord. I'd rather not have a heart attack yet. Thank you very much. Drew Johnson. Sorry I was late. Happy 14th. Mic Drop Hooligan. Choose or lose, obese Batman or anorexic penguin? What is going on here? I think we could lose obese Batman. Makes it harder to fly if he's overweight. David Rivera, happy 14th. Thanks for your consistency and all of your hard work. Cheers. Thank you, David. Mic Drop Hooligan. Better underrated 80s song, Your Love from the Outfield, or One Thing Leads to Another from The Fix? I'm going to go with The Fix. I always liked that song. The Ruthless Aggression Podcast says, congrats on 14 years. Was curious to know if you covered the Benoit tragedy when you started your show. No, the Benoit tragedy was the year that I started the podcast. That happened in June, and the first Sound Off dropped in November. So I was a few months late to that. And I've talked about the Benoit stuff on the podcast here multiple times over the years. I've given my thoughts on that whole situation and all the people who seem to want to just kind of ignore, what he did and put him in the Hall of Fame and just, dumb shit like that. I've talked about that at length. Drew Johnson, I was late to the stream. You having a drink. I asked you last night if you were going to break out the booze. I did. It is all gone. So I feel like I need another, but obviously I'm not going to pause the stream here. But it was a screwdriver. Solomonster screwdriver. Some OJ and some vodka. We had some vodka. EJ Slemp, am I the only person who thinks the Elite are a billion times better without the Good Brothers? I had strong go-away X-Pac heat towards them. You're not the only one. Epsilon Sama says, you started the podcast when wrestling started to die. Well, yeah, it would have been very interesting doing a podcast through Attitude and Ruthless Aggression, but just a different time, man. It was just back then. It was wrestling hotlines. I was making appearances, sporadic appearances on some wrestling radio shows in different states. I had friends in Colorado and Ohio, and I would call into their show and talk wrestling. I was like their wrestling update guy. So technically, my wrestling updates go back to 1998, if you want to take it back really far. Show you how old school we can get here. John Kiernan, congrats on 14 years. Keep killing the game, and thank you for everything. The Music Man, John Kiernan. Thank you, John. Craig 11 Double C, dropping some love in the super chat. Stephen Feast, not sure how long I have been listening, but it's been as long as I can remember. You've made my week just a little bit better ever since. Well, that's very nice of you to say. James Forkham, Logan Paul, Jake Paul, Sean Paul, Rue Paul, Chris Paul, Cliff Paul. Don't matter. Kevin Owens will powerbomb them all. Did you try to make that rhyme? That was pretty good. Mo Guns Jackson, congratulations, Solomonster, 14 years strong, watching Raw for all of our sorry you-know-whats. You have military-level durability. Drew Johnson, I'm 36, quit watching 16 years ago, found your podcast, and then AEW came along, and I have been back. WWE sucks, he says. Thank you for everything that you do. WWE makes it hard sometimes to want to root for them when you see these stories about these releases. For those of you who are tuned in late, I should probably just pause here to update everybody, and I'm sure a lot of you already know by now. I covered this earlier, but we had another round of breaking WWE releases. I mean, I have lost count. You know, when I covered this at the beginning of November, so it was only a few weeks ago that we had 18 wrestlers released, including BFAB, one of the members of Hit Row. 18. We have, I believe, 8 more here tonight for a grand total of 26 WWE releases by my count in the month of November alone. Tonight's victims: Tegan Knox, Drake Maverick, John Morrison, Jackson Riker, Shane Thorne, a.k.a. Slapjack from Retribution. He was pretty much dead the moment they called him Slapjack. But all 3 members of Hit Row, Ashanti, remaining members of Hit Row. There were 4 of them. Then there were 3. Now those 3 are gone. Ashanti the Adonis, Top Dollar, and Isaiah Swerve Scott. And, you know, PW Insider made a very good point, and I want to make this clear too, because one thing that I said a few weeks ago when I was talking about the last wave of releases, one common thread to a lot of the names that you see on the cut list, a lot of these names were hired by Triple H. Paul Levesque brought a lot of these people into NXT, his version of NXT, before it became fucking rainbows and unicorns. These were Triple H hires. I believe every single person from this wave of releases tonight, I believe every single one with the exception of John Morrison, was a Triple H signing. So when I tell you that there is a concerted effort underway right now to, I don't know if undermine Triple H is the right word because they've already done that, but to almost wipe away the legacy of Triple H's NXT and everything that Triple H has tried to create over the last 5, 6, 7 years in this company. Tonight is another example of exactly that very thing that I was talking about. All but one of the names tonight were Triple H hires, and they're all gone. Hit Row was a Triple H project in NXT, and now every single member of Hit Row is gone. So if you are somebody who does not believe that Triple H is for all intents and purposes, being erased, and his influence and his legacy is being erased, then you are not paying attention. You need to get fucking glasses. And I don't know what his health situation is because he has not come back yet. We have not heard anything from Triple H. I hope he is doing well, but it has to hurt his heart to see what is going on here. Whether you liked his version of NXT or not, it was his vision, it was his baby, he created it. There was a lot of good things that came out of NXT. There were a lot of classic takeover shows that I will always fondly look back on and fondly remember. Some of the best matches in WWE, in fact, in the last 5 or 6 years came from NXT. And almost everything that he helped create and build is being torn down month after month, brick by brick by brick. by Vince McMahon, by Bruce Pritchard, Nick Khan, blame whoever you want. But there is a concerted effort underway to erase everything that Triple H did, and it makes me wonder about his future in this company. And when people joke about, well, you know, one day we're going to hear that Triple H, Paul Levesque is all elite, and of course we laugh it off and say there's no chance of that happening. I don't know that there's any chance of that happening, but could the day come that Triple H is no longer in WWE? You bet your ass it could. If Shane McMahon could leave WWE, then there's nothing stopping Triple H from leaving WWE too. In fact, the only thing I think that has even kept him around is who he is married to, and the fact that he has given Vince McMahon 3 beautiful grandkids. Were it not for that, I don't believe Triple H would even be with this company anymore. Triple H could take all the talent that they have released and start his own company. Start his own version of NXT under a different name. But that is a very important point to make. Yet another mass release wave where the majority of the names were Triple H signings. Something is going on here. And if you don't think so, you're not paying attention. Rodimus Prime, $35 super chat drop. What's going on, Rodimus? I have an email question here from you too. My man Rodimus dropped an email question, but he said, keep up the good work. Not really looking forward to Survivor Series. Only thing I'm looking forward to on Sunday is my birthday. Another birthday, huh? Happy birthday. Boy, I feel like, you know, you guys, if you're tuning in late, you missed my Survivor Series predictions. I did them about 7 years ago at this point. It feels like, it feels like a lifetime ago that I did my Survivor Series predictions. But believe it or not, we did cover all of the Survivor Series predictions earlier in this stream before the shit hit the fan. Yeah, if I'm Elias, I'm not checking my phone. There are certain people on that WWE roster who should be very afraid right now. I'm kind of shocked. I'm not going to say who they are. I don't want to jinx them, but there are certain names on that main roster. I am shocked that they were not part of either of these waves of releases this month. We still got 2 weeks left in the month of November. How about those Thanksgiving releases, huh? A week before Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving, you're fired. Right before Christmas. What a great time. That's going to be a great look for WWE when they release another 15 people 3 weeks before Christmas. But I mean, come on, in WWE, they're one big happy family there, right? Drew Johnson, in the spirit of Bulu, keep or delete. He wants to know Sonny from 97 or Stephanie in 03. You know, we don't need to get into this. Come on, Drew. Tonight is not the night for that, my friend. But Sonny, I will say, you know, Sonny was the most downloaded woman on AOL back in 1996. I was one of those downloads. So, Kenneth Burton, happy 14th. If the Forbidden Door was destroyed, what are some matches that you would like to see? And he talks about Seth against Omega, Okada and Roman. Okada and Danielson. For me, it's Okada and Danielson is one match I've always wanted to see. I would love to see it. EJ Slamp, boy, you know, we are 2 hours behind on Super Chat, so I got to start steamrolling through these here. EJ, thank you for the $5. He's always wanted to ask this. Were you ever an athlete yourself growing up? Well, yeah, I mean, I guess well, kind of. I play. Does Little League count, and soccer and bowling? Bowling counts, right? I bowled. I was in a league for 6 years. I guess that counts. But no, I didn't play like college sports or anything like that. JL Ruiz. Felicidades, he says. Indeed. And I know it's a little early, but Feliz Navidad. May as well. Feliz Navidad. Gavin, I like Subway sandwiches. Flamethrower. To keep the train rolling since 2007 is very impressive. Great job. Thank you for the $15. I appreciate that. Jonathan Coleman, happy 14. Who should Edge face at WrestleMania next? AJ Styles or John Cena? If he is available, who do you think Edge should face? Well, if Kevin Owens does stick around, then I don't think he's going to. But if Kevin Owens sticks around, I'm all for Edge against Kevin Owens, and they find themselves on the same roster now. If Owens is going to leave and they feel like he's going to leave and he doesn't re-sign soon, then at least maybe they could do it at the Royal Rumble. Kevin Owens one-on-one against Edge. Before Owens leaves, I think that's a match I'd like to see. Paul Hamilton, again, brother, I can't express to you what that means. He dropped a $350 super chat on me earlier. And you are the man. Steve Heredia, the Bakersfield Big Shot here. I just want to wish... Yeah, wait. Gyro Splater is at the gym right now. By the way, he's one of our Sound Off channel members for 2 months now. Thank you, Gyro Splater. He goes, last time I listened to you at the gym was literally the previous slate of releases. What the fuck? What the fuck indeed? Maybe stop going to the gym. Maybe you're the bad luck charm here. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. It's ridiculous at this point. It is sickening. But anyway, Steve says, I'm currently at work, won't be able to watch. I'll see if I can catch it after work. You're going to have a lot to catch up on. Because we're going on 3 hours soon here on the stream. There's Bulu. Bulu Fatulu. Once again, Solomonster. Hope all is good with you. Thank you, Bulu. Ryan Spies. And Brinthan Kazinathan. Boy, I butchered that one. Kazinathan. Both of you. Thank you for the super chats. Jackalope Music. If you could only watch one, MJF against Punk or the American Dragon against Adam Page. I don't know. I mean, we haven't seen Dragon and Page yet. We've already seen MJF and Oh, I'm sorry. I misread that. I thought you said MJF and Darby. I was going to say, we already saw that. Which one do I want to see the most if I had to pick one? MJF and Punk. Bulu again. Keep or delete. The head of the table, Roman Reigns, or Hollywood Rock. Who is the better heel? Hollywood Rock. I like Tribal Chief Roman, but I got to go with Hollywood Rock. Ali. Thank you again for that $50 bomb earlier. Appreciate it. Bulu dropped a couple more on me here. Would you consider the Honky Tonk Man a charisma vacuum? I don't know. Honky Tonk Man had a lot of charisma. He was more charismatic than he was a master technician in the ring. Keep or delete. Drink beers with DOA or drink margaritas with Los Boricuas in 1997. Bring on the margaritas. Bring on Margaritaville. I don't think I would fit in very well with DOA. I would fit in much better with the Boricuas. I would be an honorary Boricua. And I would fit in with them much better than I would DOA. Dried chicken without flavor. Hit Row released. The Acclaimed and Hit Row collaboration. Well, you might get one soon. But it won't be for 90 days. Steven Chappa, thank you for the 150. Happy to say I've been a fan since 2012. Still love the Slice and Dice name you gave me on the Sound Off years ago. Enjoy your evening, brother. Hey, Ray writing in the chat. Yes, we talked about the WWE releases. I know, it's sad. Ray has been a fan of the show for a very long time as well. I don't know why Slick is not in the Hall of Fame. Somebody asked about Slick. Slick was a big manager when I was, a young WWF fan. Slick and Jimmy Hart and Bobby Heenan. They're in the Hall of Fame. I don't believe Slick is. I wonder why. K-Bubs. Buy, sell, trade. John Loose Cannon Lopez, Bulu Fatulu, or Professor John Gotti. I have to buy on the good professor. I mean, come on. I buy on all three. Jesus, yes, I did play soccer. I played soccer for 2 years. Domination Warrior, the Spud is back, and welcome back to Slamtown. I look forward to the return of Johnny Mundo, whatever he ends up calling himself. And I don't know, I'd like to see he and Taya back together doing stuff on television. I enjoyed their whole their chemistry together in Lucha Underground. I thought they were very entertaining together. Scott Woodford, I don't watch WWE. I deleted DVR. My schedule, I now watch MLW. Vince needs to go. F this company. Happy 14. Boy, he was all over the place with that super chat. Did I ever play football? Yeah, in video games. That's the extent of my football experience. The Undertaker 2024. I didn't know he was running for office. Longtime listener, thanks to TV Tracks. Just wanted to thank you for everything you do. WWE is so disgusting. Tanya, thank you for the 5. Bulu, better classic comedy, old school, 2003, or Superbad, 2007. Superbad. Brinton dropping another $5. Thank you, sir. Nathan Kania, thanks for being the most entertaining podcaster around. I can never stay for streams due to my sleep schedule, but I am always listening. Happy 14. Simi Valley, all of these releases make it impossible to invest any interest in anyone in WWE. Shayla, thank you for the super chat. Well, Simi, hold on a little bit, because in a few months we might be getting Johnny Elite on TBS. Vitamin Vision, you are the wrestling podcaster MVP. Thank you for the years of time, energy, and great content. Much respect. Thank you, Vitamin Vision. Jacob Barnes, you're the best. Happy 14-year anniversary. Tibbs, dropping 20. Happy anniversary. We love you. Well, I love you back. I love everybody. I love everybody in the chat. Thank you for tuning in tonight, by the way. We had quite a bit of breaking news to cover with these WWE releases that was very unexpected. That certainly is not what I had planned for tonight when I scheduled this stream. This was supposed to be a happy occasion, and it went a little dark there for a while, but we're still having a good time. Bulu, stuck in an elevator with Vicky Guerrero, or would you rather be stuck in the desert with Gilbert Gottfried? How do you come up with these? Man. I would not want to be stuck in an elevator. I'd much rather be stuck in an open air setting. So at least with Gilbert Gottfried, I could stick cotton balls in my ears. Brinton, buy, sell, bury. Jeff Hardy's chase for the WWE Championship. The Yes Movement. In the Summer of Punk. I mean, I wouldn't really bury any of them. I would buy on the Summer of Punk. I would... I can't bury or sell on any of those, really. I enjoyed them all. I guess, bury Jeff's chase for the title, I guess, because didn't really live up to expectations, right? He wasn't champion for very long. I think we can probably just bury that out in the desert somewhere. Bulu, they're giving you your flowers tonight, Solomonster. I am truly happy for you. Much deserved. Well, thank you, Bulu. Thank you very much. I like roses, by the way. Just FYI. Chris Quillman, now we could get the original idea Top Dollar had for Hit Row that had Leo Rush instead of Adonis, another drink for the liberated. Brian Blair with the 50 spot. Sometimes I wonder if Seth Rollins' atrocious attire is a jab at Boyd Pierce back from the Mid-South days. I don't think Bruce was fond of Pierce to begin with. Happy 14 years and hopefully 14 more. If there aren't any budget cuts, WWE can go to hell. Well, that's what Taya Valkyrie said on Twitter. I read her tweets earlier. She obviously is not very happy about her husband being released weeks after she herself got released. I mean, that's got to be tough. You have a household, one spouse gets fired, and then a few weeks later, the other spouse gets fired from the same company. And really, through no fault of their own. John Morrison did nothing wrong. Taya did nothing wrong. This is not a disciplinary move. It's not like they're not able to perform at a certain level or a high level. These are high-level talents. that have been misused and abused, chewed up and spit out. And she has every right to vent and be upset about what happened. Daniel Carr, what's going on, man? Simi Valley, if you could choose one WWE guy to feud with one AEW guy right now, who would you choose and why? On the WWE roster, I mean, I'm all in on what they've been doing with Roman Reigns. Kevin Owens as a heel has potential. I've been waiting for him to go back heel for a while. I'm trying to think of who I would look at it on the WWE roster that I really could get excited about. Aren't that many people. Really aren't right now. I'm a big Sasha Banks guy. I am big on Sasha. And Bianca and some of the women. You know, Sasha Banks, I'm trying to think, Sasha Banks against, you know, like a Serena Deeb or someone. Could be fun. Roman Reigns stepping into the ring against like a Darby Allin or something. I actually think, especially with the size difference, I think Roman and Darby would actually be a fun match. I feel like that would be fun. You know, Omega, you can match up with anybody. I mean, look, from the WWE roster, AJ Styles has been relegated to tag team hell for months, which probably gives his body a rest. But at some point, you've got to get the guy back in singles action. They are desperately in need of more real stars in the singles ranks. Randy Orton has been a tag team guy. AJ Styles has been a tag team guy. AJ Styles, you know, even at 42 or 43, whatever he is, getting into the ring with almost anybody on the AEW roster, you know, against Omega, against Darby, against MJF, against Sammy. Mexi Wolf, 009, dropping $50. 50. Congrats on 14 years. I hope you take this to buy yourself a copy of WWE 2K22 with whatever roster they have left. Yeah, as I said earlier, I would not want to be a developer on these WWE games. I don't know what that roster is going to look like. But from what I understand, the 2K games haven't really even been worth that much money. They have not been very well received in recent years. What was the last good 2K game that they did for WWE? Because I know everybody shit on 2K20. It was all glitched to hell. I mean, when was the last really good, fun WWE 2K game? What year would that have been? Javo. By the time we get to WrestleMania in Hollywood, there won't be a roster left except for Roman Reigns. If Rock can't wrestle, will it be Roman against a mop? Either a mop or a brew. Oh, I mean, take your pick. Roman against a kendo stick. We know they have plenty of those. Roman against a ladder, maybe. So we got a lot of votes for 2K19. Everybody says 2K19 was pretty good. That seems to be the consensus in the chat. 2K14, a lot of votes for 2K14. All right, so 2K19 is the last really good one, apparently. Jabe Shepard. Hey, Solomonster, God bless you. My question to you is, how would you have booked Bret Hart in the invasion angle had he not gotten hurt? Ooh, Bret Hart in the invasion angle. See, I feel like if Bret had left under different circumstances, I think he already would have been back in WWE by then. If he wasn't, you know, it really depends on who they would have had. If they had all hands on deck, if they had Bischoff and Flair and Hogan and those guys, I still feel like Bret should have been one of the faces leading the charge. You know, given the way he got screwed over and given the way he left the company, maybe he would have... It's a good question. If he would have been there on day one, or would I have saved him for later on and maybe had Bischoff show up? Bischoff, Hogan, Hall and Nash. That's what was missing when Hall and Nash and Hogan came in 2002. You know, Bischoff came many months later. Bischoff really should have been leading the invasion on Vince McMahon. And then every few weeks, another big name pops up. Sting, Goldberg, and then maybe Brett would have made an appearance, and he would have made Vince McMahon a target of his. RCWR show, Lee Sanders. I was just talking about Lee earlier on, wishing him a happy 10-year anniversary. EJ Slemp, a few years ago, you did your Mount Rushmore of Intercontinental Champions. Who would be on your Mount Rushmore of U.S. Champions? You can include NWA, WCW, and WWE. United States Champions. I mean, there were a lot of big names who were U.S. champion, right? Ric Flair, Magnum, Tully. Tully would definitely be on there. U.S. champions from WWE. You know, John Cena had a good run with it. I like the open challenge stuff that he was doing. But there have been so many U.S. champions, if you open it up to the NWA, I don't think Cena would make the cut. I just wasn't, at that time, paying as close attention to the NWA as I was WWF. So I feel like I'd be leaving some people out. But, you know, definitely I think people like Tully and Magnum would be on that list. I don't know how many times Flair had the belt. How many times he had the U.S. title. Radical Velocity says, we need a Mount Rushmore of releases. Brother, there aren't enough faces on Mount Rushmore to cover it all. Luger, that's a good point. Luger might be on that U.S. title, Mount Rushmore. Griga, thank you for the 10 spot. Thank you for the love. Juan Ocampo, happy 14 years. Loved the intros to the show. Mine was when you sang a Billy Corgan song, I Still Can't Buy TNA. Can we get an Orton pose? I don't know if it's the right time to be doing Orton poses. Hey, Night Tracks, yes, we did talk about the releases, and we will talk about them again here before we wrap up in a little bit. We broke in. As soon as the news of the releases came, people were letting me know in the chat, and we broke right into it. Yusuf, congrats. Looking forward to many more. Currently listening to and loving JR's Under the Black Hat. What are some must-listen audiobooks? Well, boy, do I have a link for you. And you will find it in the description down below. You can get a free book at Audible. Any wrestling book that's on there, you can get it for free when you use our link, audibletrial.com/Solomonster. Daniel Bryan's book, The Death of WCW. Hornswoggle, actually. Dylan Postal. I heard good things about, I didn't read it, but I heard good things about his book as well. Jim Ross's book is on there. There's a whole bunch of them. Hardcore Holly's book, The Hardcore Truth. Jump on there, do a search for wrestling books. There's a bunch of good ones on there, and you can get one for free. Helps the show when you use our link. Bulu, Solomonster, did you finish The Shield yet? I finished The Shield years ago. I'm rewatching it. I just finished the season 6 finale tonight. So I've gone through 6 seasons of The Shield in about 5 weeks. I'm watching it with the bro. And we got 1 season left. So we're almost done. 13 more episodes. One of the best shows ever made. Alvin Johnson, thank you for the 20. He says congrats on 14 years. Thank you, sir. Dry chicken without boy, we have a lot of messages to get through here. Where are we? Where are we at? We're going to pass 3 hours here in a few minutes. Let me grab some water here. Let me just say thank you, by the way, to everybody who has chimed in, with super chats, and everybody who emailed, great questions. I'm not going to be able to get to them all, unfortunately, because of the breaking news, but I promise you I will answer your questions at some point, probably on Sunday on the main show. So thank you for all the support. I have not watched The Boys, but I have heard it's a great show. It's on my watch list. I will watch that at some point. Magician Sapphire, at this point, WWE is developmental for AEW and the Indies. That's a very appropriate way of describing it, the way it feels right now. WWE has become a feeder system for AEW and Tony Khan. Dried chicken, Triple H should stay away from Vince McMahon's 6 feet at the dinner table. Corey Hodgson with the 20. Remember a few years ago, you had that guy who watched NXT for you. For me? What do you mean, watched it for me? What do you mean? Back when it was the women's game show type, early, that's season 3 of NXT. Then he would send in the reports for you. That was me. Happy 14. Oh, it's Corey. I couldn't imagine what you were talking about. I was like, what are you talking? I have a correspondent for NXT that I'm unaware of. But yes, that's right. Back when it was the game show version. I feel like it's slowly slipping back into the game show version. Corey, are you busy? Are you busy on Tuesday nights? I might need you again very soon. Stick around. I might need your help. Kane D. Bad Guy. Greetings, Solomonster. Congratulations on 14 years. Don't let WWE ruin your mood with these stupid releases. Well, too late. Thank you, Kane. Zach Pedretti. Been listening since 2015. Found you on YouTube talking about Sasha against Bayley and have listened ever since. Sasha against Bayley is one of my all-time favorite matches in WWE. And that was under the auspices of Triple H. That was a Triple H classic takeover, the first takeover from Brooklyn. I was in the building that night. I loved that match. That match was just everything that I could possibly want in a match. It had drama, it had good action, it had a story built to it. Sasha made that great entrance. I think it was in the Escalade when she came out. The crowd was into it. It's fantastic. Shiftmo, is there anyone that would be considered Mr. or Mrs. TV match, i.e. like Shawn Michaels is Mr. WrestleMania? Mr. TV match? I mean, that's pretty much everybody. They have so much TV. Mr. TV match would probably be like Dolph Ziggler or The Miz or somebody like that would be my guess. Chris Young with the $10 super chat. Yeah, I probably should bring this. Let me see if I should. I could bring this up in the super chat window. Just realize I probably should bring it up here. Here we go. Sorry about that. Where were we here? Chris Young. Chris Young with the $10 super chat. Thanks for all you do for us. Hope you can continue for another 14 years. BB Bilal. Congrats on 14 with more to come. Just finished the new Ghostbusters. It was good. You sound mad. I must have missed something. Yes, you did. You might want to check the latest wrestling news. We covered that probably before you joined the stream. Zhangsu 102. Never liked Hit Row, but this just sucks. Guess they found someone better than Top Dollar. Cameron Johnson, have you played any of the GTA games? GTA 3 and GTA Vice City, which I never finished. Alberto Ortiz, cryptocurrency in the impact zone. That reminds me, the Staples Center is no more. In Los Angeles, the Staples Center has a new name. It is now the Crypto.com Arena. So you can throw that in the pile of shitty arena names and stadium names. We used to have the Talking Stick. We had Guaranteed Rate Field in Chicago. And now we have Crypto.com Arena. You know, obviously these organizations make a shit ton of money on naming rights. I get it. You know, I get why they do it. But would have been kind of cool to call it like the Kobe Coliseum. I'm just saying that name kind of rolls off the tongue, you know? The Kobe Coliseum in LA. That would have been cool. But they can't make any money off that, so. Ray Wright and happy 14. Can't wait for 14 more. Neil Berry, congrats on 14. Thank you for the $9.99, Neil. Dried chicken and turkey. Free the Narrative 3, EC3 and Rockstar Spud reunion. Let's do it. Let's make it happen. That's another one. You know, I talk about why didn't they put Karrion Kross and Scarlett together? Why couldn't they put Johnny Mundo and Taya together on WWE television? They had a chance to put EC3 together with Drake Maverick. You know, to play off their prior relationship in Impact because they were fun together. And they did some YouTube stuff and nothing ever really official on WWE television. Maybe they did one segment. Another missed opportunity. WWE gets handed... They get handed things on a silver platter, and they squander it. So I am sick to death of hearing about the creative genius that is Vince McMahon. Can we finally put this shit to bed, please? Maybe that was true 25 fucking years ago. But this whole notion of Vince McMahon being any kind of creative genius is pretty much out the window at this point. Vince McMahon was as lucky as he was smart, I think, when it came to creative. As a businessman, he's very smart. He knows how to make money. But from a creative standpoint, he was also very lucky. He was very, very lucky. He lucked into Stone Cold and The Rock becoming big stars at the same time and carrying his company through what at that point had been the most lucrative period in company history. And it's been a struggle for him ever since. When Austin went away and Rock ultimately went away, all those big names went away, it's been this slow decline. Every now and then he'll get lucky. But let's not pretend that a lot of it also wasn't based on sheer luck. And now we see a lot of examples of things where, hey, you could be doing this with this person, or, oh man, you should put this person together with that person over there. And it's like they think they know better than everybody else, and they have their own great ideas, and then it ends up flopping, and then they wonder, well, how come this person didn't get over? Well, it's because you didn't give them any support. It's because you don't know what the fuck you're doing. It's just creatively bankrupt. They've been creatively bankrupt for so long. They have quality talent right under their nose that they're paying. They have them on their payroll, and they don't know what to do with them. And this is a systemic problem in this company. But Vince McMahon is probably the luckiest man on earth when you really look back at the history of his company. He's less a genius when it comes to that. And I think luck had a lot to do with the success that he had and really built his company on and went public, took his company public on. Got very lucky. EJ Slemp. I blame Conrad, he says. Bruce Pritchard was irrelevant, persona non grata, until Conrad started a podcast with him. Now he's writing bad TV. Do you agree? He was persona non grata for a very long time with WWE. And it was actually the success of his podcast that got him back in their good graces and got him noticed again. So, you want to blame Conrad, go right ahead. Scott Woodford, Bulu on shrooms or Bulu on eggs in pan? I think Bulu is on shrooms every week. I'd be in a lot better mood if I was on shrooms right now. Chris Mikesell, congrats on 14 years, much love. Vicky, damn shame, more WWE releases and happy 14th. Years and many more to come. Dr. NXT Scorpio, due to budget cuts, I could only send $4.97 super chat. Sorry. In all seriousness, congrats on 14 years. Thank you for the content. Thank you for the laugh. I think we all needed that. John Nelson says, what are you talking about, Solomonster? NXT did a 0.11 in the demo this week. They're creatively great, LOL. Yeah, that demo was not good. For a show that is trying to appeal to a younger, hipper audience, that is a terrible demo number. The People's Choice Podcast Channel, happy 14 years, Solomonster. Sorry I'm late, had to work OT. What have I missed? Boy, where to begin, huh? I'll bring you up to date here in a second. Brian Ramos, who do you feel is your biggest competition when going live for a review? I feel Denise from F4W Online has stolen some of your fans since she starts on the dot when the shows end against you. Well, a lot of people start on the dot. So, I mean, that doesn't make her any different from anybody else. I think everybody has their own unique audience. I think there is definitely crossover between, some of my friends that also go live after like the AEW shows and the pay-per-views. So there's definite crossover there, but I mean, there's no one person I could really think of who is more competition than anybody else. We're all competition. We're all competing for a relatively small pool of wrestling fans. So everybody is equally competition. If they're going live at the same time that I'm going live, then they're competition. I'm not Vince McMahon, where I feel like I have to crush my competition. I'm not that ruthless. I think we can all coexist. We can all share in the pie and do well. Io Spiro says, I like your voice and that you don't yell. Well, I try not to hurt your ears. So I'm glad that you enjoyed my voice. Vash, I swear Ricochet has got to be either the luckiest or unluckiest bastard on that roster. He has missed every cut so far. Oh, I would say that Ricochet is indeed one of the luckiest, given that he is now dating Samantha Irvin. If you don't know who Samantha Irvin is, she works as an announcer in WWE on the NXT brand. Ricochet is a lucky guy. No wonder he sticks around. No wonder. Mikey Clayman, favorite Friday the 13th and Nightmare movie. Friday the 13th for me is part 3. It's where he got the hockey mask. I like that movie. Nightmare was never a huge Freddy Krueger guy. So I don't have a specific favorite. Mr. E 1976, $14 super chat. Been listening to you since 2009. Here's to many more returns, and thank you for everything that you do. Thank you, sir. Epsilon Sama says, I need some ruthless aggression. No, that's not what got me as far as it's gotten me with the show. I show respect to people who show me respect, and the people who don't, I don't bother wasting my time with them. That's why you really don't see me anymore getting into any kind of real back and forth with trolls and people on Twitter and stuff. It's like, it's easy to kind of fall into that trap. I mute and I block. They're not worth my time. Life's a lot more enjoyable that way when you get rid of the riffraff. Focus on you. Focus on your shit. Don't worry about what other people are doing. Rizzo, I was hoping you were going live about the releases, and then I remembered you were live anyway. I hate WWE. I am sick of this crap. I know. Night Tracks, I listened to the podcast at work. Thank you and congrats. Naef, thank you again. Leather Rebel, listening since 02. Oh, I thought that said 02. I said, boy, do you know something I don't? Have I been doing this podcast longer than I thought? Is this really the 19-year anniversary and not the 14-year anniversary of this show? Thank you, Leather Rebel. My God, we're almost caught up on the Super Chats. Look at this. We almost made it to the end here. And then we're going to talk about the releases again. I have already covered, for the people in the chat who are popping in, we have talked about the releases at length. I am not happy about it, but with Hit Row, I hate to say I told you so, but I told you so. It was obvious that this was going to be the end result. What I did not expect is that it would happen less than a month after they were called up to television. Luis Belmont, walkthroughs. Vanessa Bryant would have sued AEG if they used Kobe's name. And yes, I hate the new name for what is basically my backyard. Eric Decker, happy 14th. I became a member of your channel. That's the best anniversary gift I could give you. Best in the IWC period. Eric, thank you. Thank you, sir. Enjoy the perks. There's some classic audio. I don't know what tier you're on. There's classic audio on the Legends tier, but on the lower Superstar tier, you can go back. There's been some exclusive Q&A videos. You get the emojis and badges in the chat. And when that new RSPW goes up, which hopefully will be soon, I'm going to give it to the members first for 3 days. You guys will get it first before everybody else. So thank you for becoming a channel member. If you want to know, by the way, if you're curious, there is a white join button down below. If you click that button, it'll give you all the information. And then you can decide if you want to become a channel member. GCC305 just finished listening to yesterday's review. Billy Gunn against Darby Allin is a main event anywhere, good brother. Groovy Goose, are you a hockey fan? Islanders or Rangers? Not really a hockey fan, although I did root for the Rangers in '94. I did have a Rangers poster on my wall with Messier and the rest of the team, but I don't watch the NHL. Sean Waters, with Survivor Series Sunday, what have been your favorite matches from the 35-year event? That is a loaded question. And by the way, that is the final super chat, I believe, that I was behind on. So we are caught up on your super chats now, 3 hours and 11 minutes into this stream. Favorite Survivor Series matches. I was always a fan of the first Brett-Shawn match in Survivor Series 92. I loved the whole ultimate finale match of Survival they did in 1990, which I don't think they ever did again. Trying to think. Classic Survivor Series matches. Brett and Diesel. That was my favorite of the 3 matches they had. Brett and Diesel at Survivor Series 95, where Diesel turned and powerbombed him after the match. Survivor Series 96, Bret Hart against Steve Austin. Shawn Michaels against Sid. I love that match too. The first Elimination Chamber in 02 at the Garden was a great match, as was the Elimination match in 03, where Shawn Michaels bled a gusher. That was where Steve Austin's job was on the line against Eric Bischoff's team, and that was a great Survivor Series elimination match, actually. One of the last truly great ones that I can remember. So those are some. EJ just dropped on. Random question, he says. Were there any other backstage producers you think could have been a stooge if something happened to Jerry Briscoe and Pat Patterson? Hey, Jeff Cole just became a Sound Off legend. That is a top tier Sound Off legend member. Jeff, what's going on? I hope you're having a good night, man. Jeff is one of our longtime fans. Anybody else who could have stepped in as a stooge? I mean, they had Lanza. Lanza was always there, but Lanza looked like he was about as exciting as a fucking, doorknob. So I don't think he would have been any good. I don't think so. I don't know who all the producers were at that time. I just know Lanza was there forever, and they had, was it Reen Roulet, and I don't know. I don't think they did. I don't think there were any other ones who really would have fit in that spot. Hey, Amiibo, thank you for the love, man. TaylorMade says, my drinking game is drink every time Solomonster says Bret Hart. I'm Bret's biggest fan, so he's if you ask me who's my favorite of all time, Bret's the answer. So I got to show Bret some love, and I'm glad that more and more people I'm noticing on social media have been sharing gifs of Bret, like taking bumps and selling stuff and appreciating him for how good he really was. I don't know if it's just because wrestling has sort of fallen off since then, or there aren't very many people like him who wrestle the way he does and sell the way he did. I think that probably has a lot to do with it, that people now have a newfound appreciation for him that maybe they didn't have before. Brian Blair became a member of the channel. Glad to support one of my favorite podcasters. I look forward to your shows the way I used to look forward to WWE. That's a very nice thing of you to say, Brian. We won't tell the Iron Sheik what you said. Brian Blair. Yeah, Casey, the wild card match in 95, the only time they ever did a wild card match. I love the concept, and they never did it again after that. Nick Grasso, what do you think about Tommaso Ciampa doing the math promo on Braun Breaker on NXT this week? I like that little nod. And I noticed Braun had a nice laugh about that too. He seemed amused by that as well. They've dropped a lot of subtle hints, but they still will not say that he is Rick Steiner's son. They won't actually acknowledge it. I don't get it. I know there was a report that they were going to bring in Rick Steiner for Halloween Havoc and he was a no-show. I don't know if that's accurate or not. But that doesn't mean you can't acknowledge the family tree on television. They just won't do it. They kind of dance around it. It's just a weird company, man. All their little edicts and all their little rules, it's just so fucking weird. So, to recap, in the middle of the stream, we had breaking news about 8 WWE releases. And I'm checking now to make sure there have not been any more since then. But we do have reaction. So let me just very quickly here, before we wrap things up, let me recap these releases, and then I will go through some tweets. People have been tweeting some of these wrestlers. Tegan Knox, Drake Maverick, Jackson Riker, Shane Thorne, John Morrison, and all 3 remaining surviving members of Hit Row, Top Dollar, Shanti the Adonis, and Isaiah Swerve Scott, all got their walking papers from WWE tonight and got an email from John Laurinaitis telling them that it was due to budget cuts. So those are the names so far that have been released. There could potentially be more releases. We know there's going to be more coming. Maybe not this time, but we're going to keep seeing this. This story is unfortunately going to repeat itself over and over again. Hit Row never stood a chance. Hit Row was absolutely just completely jobbed out by this company. The way that they called them up and gave them hope and then just took it away from them is disgusting. It's really quite revolting what they did to those guys. John Cena had some praise for Drake Maverick on Twitter. Well, I guess Maverick posted a video. Now, I don't know if this is the same video he posted the first time he got cut. This looks like it might be a different video. But John Cena quote tweeted the video that Drake Maverick put up and said, "This is worth a watch. Very well done and very powerful message by a gifted performer." If you missed it, Taya Valkyrie was not happy at all hearing that John Morrison was cut, or any of the other names for that matter. And just to recap what she had to say. Stop supporting a company that has zero respect for their talent. You love pro wrestling. Spend your money on the hundreds of other alternatives. This is wrong. Ethically, as employers, they don't care about us, the talent, or the fans. And she said, "We will be fine." Hashtag the Mundos. And then she posted a picture of her and Johnny Mundo holding gold in Impact Wrestling with the caption, "We always have each other, and that's all that matters. I love you at The Real Morrison." She's like a real ride or die. Kind of like Rebby Hardy. Say what you want to about Rebby Hardy. Like, she's a ride or die, right? With Matt. I get the sense that Taya is the same way. They're going to be fine, but again, no rhyme or reason for how or why they're picking these names at this point. That's why I say nobody is safe. And if you're a fan, you see these vignettes. They've been running vignettes for weeks on SmackDown about Xia Li coming in. I kind of half expect her to be cut. I mean, seriously, I mean, what they get you hyped up for somebody who's about to come in and make a debut, and they sweep the rug out from underneath you. Clearly, the creative forces, the creative team in WWE are not at all in sync with the people who are making these decisions, these personnel decisions. You and I, as the viewer who tune into these shows, see what they put on television. We see the people that they're pushing and the people that they're debuting. And the fans get fucked over almost as much as the talent themselves, because they'll start a storyline and then all of a sudden somebody's gone. Hit Row made what? 3 appearances, I believe, on television. They had 1 match on SmackDown. I think they had 2 backstage segments, the thing with Sami Zayn. And that was it. Their last promo was in the back talking about sneakers, because they were still playing off the whole Young Bucks thing. Top Dollar talking about fucking sneakers. And then doing comedy with Sami Zayn. That is how Hit Row will be remembered for their last appearance on WWE television. It's a fucking embarrassment. And the pattern continues of Vince McMahon and Bruce Pritchard doing everything they can to tear down the legacy that Triple H has spent years building up. Piece by piece, brick by brick, it is being taken apart. There can be no doubt. There can no longer be any doubt about it. Zombified Guitarist, which is quite the name, just became a Sound Off channel member. I always wanted a zombie as a member. And he then dropped a $2 super chat. Drake Maverick's video post-release is awesome. He had a very powerful video the first time that went viral and got him rehired. I don't think he'll be as lucky this time. Drake's a talented guy. Again, they had him doing the 24/7 stuff. I mean, he was doomed. I mean, the minute... It's like Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander. They put the Hurt Business back together for what? The Hurt Business is not back together. Again, something that should be so obvious to them, and yet they just can't wrap their head around the fact that these guys should be put back together with Bobby Lashley and MVP. They had a good thing going with the Hurt Business. No. We'll put Benjamin and Alexander back together, and we'll use them to chase after the 24/7 joke belt. Every time you see somebody run to the ring to chase after the 24/7 title, they're basically they're chasing after their job because they're on the bubble. And the next time we have another mass wave of releases, we may see Shelton Benjamin, we may see Cedric Alexander, we may see people like that because these are expendable people. These people are expendable to WWE. They don't matter to them. None of these people matter to WWE. That's what we've learned over the course of this year. Samoa Joe, I don't know. I don't know what his status is. I don't know if he is out with a medical issue. I don't know if they're... the fact that Triple H got sick and Triple H is not around anymore, that's bad news for Samoa Joe. I don't see a future in WWE for Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe signed a contract to go back to NXT because Triple H went out and got him when he got shit-canned by Vince McMahon. Triple H looked at that and said, what the fuck are we doing here? You're firing Samoa Joe, even if the guy can't go in the ring anymore, if he's too beat up. The guy can talk, right? He's got a mouth. He breathes fire on his promos. You can't find a role for Samoa Joe. So Triple H had the smarts, he had the wherewithal to say, Joe, come talk to me. And he brought him back into the fold. And he put the NXT Championship back on Joe. And then Triple H had a heart attack. Triple H had a heart issue. I don't know if it was a heart attack or... I mean, it looks like it was pretty fucking serious. The fact that it's been 2 months, we haven't heard from the guy. But Triple H got sick. NXT got blown up. Samoa Joe has to be looking at this going, what the fuck? What did I do here? Boy, did I make a mistake. You could have had Joe, Punk, and Bryan all together, the trio, the triad, going to AEW at the same time. You could have had Joe, Punk, and Bryan. Those three could have sold out a building at an independent show for that main event. You could have had an all-in type show, independently booked, with those three in a triple threat main event. You could have sold out the building. Joe missed out. Joe fucked up by going back to NXT. Little did he know. What must he be thinking looking back now at the way things have played out? Samoa Joe is done. They could put him in whatever role they're going to put him in. Ultimately, he's done. He has no future in that company. He has no future in that company. They made it very clear what they thought about him when they fired him after WrestleMania. Samoa Joe has no future in WWE. He made a mistake by going back. And I think he knows that he made a mistake. Yeah, so a lot of people surprised Ciampa is still there. Ciampa too. Ciampa's just temporary. The title is on Ciampa just to get it onto a Braun Breaker or somebody. Whoever it is, once that happens, that's it for Ciampa. Ciampa also has no future in that company. So once his run as the NXT champion is over, which it will be in these next few months, that's it for Tommaso Ciampa. Johnny Gargano may well be gone soon. His contract is up. Kyle O'Reilly may be gone soon. These were Triple H people. They will be gone just like all these other people are gone. I guarantee you. It's only a matter of time. Rizzo just dropped a 10 spot. I think a huge what if is what if the pandemic never happened? Would the good old NXT have been okay? I ask this because I think we all think the pandemic hurt NXT the most, and now look at what has happened. I think NXT was going to be doomed regardless because of the inability of NXT to hold back AEW from having the success that it has had and gaining a foothold. I feel like that was the job that Vince McMahon sort of gave Triple H. All you got to do is just hold them back, you know, and he was not able to do it. And I think that was maybe more than any other single thing. What really did Triple H in was his inability to help rein in and hold back AEW. And now they're just a pain in the ass. You know, they're not like overtaking Monday Night Raw in the ratings or anything yet, but I think Vince McMahon probably looks at them as just like a little thorn in his side, and he probably blames Triple H, at least partly, for what's happened. I'm sure he's on his shit list because of that. So I think NXT's goose was cooked. It might have taken a little bit longer if there was no pandemic, but I think, you know, without them having some kind of big ratings boost, I think that was going to be the beginning of the end for them no matter what. I don't think it would have made a difference. Frost757, showing anger means you still care and have hope. And like the saying goes, if they don't care, then why should we? I just apathetically laugh at the shit that WWE does. Apathy is about the worst emotion that you could have. And it's so true. When it comes to a lot of what WWE does, apathy. It's a great word for it. It's very sad. Very, very sad. All right, I think we should probably wind things down. Unless you guys want to hang out, but I think we should wind things down here. Again, I had a whole list of email questions to go through, and I feel like I should save them. So we'll save your email questions for the podcast episode 731 on Sunday. I will get to them. I have a question from Chase and Rodimus and Buford and Carlos and Ruby from all different places all over the country. If you have questions you want to email into me, that I read everything. I don't get to them all on the show, but if you want to try, thesolomonster@gmail.com is my email address, just so you guys are aware. You can always email me there if you have a question, a comment, you want to try to get a question possibly on the show, but include your name and where you are from. That will help your chances of getting it used. This was an unexpected breaking news stream. Very different than the one I originally had intended, but I did go through my Survivor Series predictions. So if you missed it, you can go back. I will go through all of these predictions again on Sunday and update them based on what happens on SmackDown tomorrow night. I'm going to be back with you live again in less than 24 hours. 11 o'clock tomorrow night, AEW Rampage. As soon as Rampage goes off the air, I will be live again. And on Sunday night is Survivor Series 2021. So when the pay-per-view goes off the air, you know where to come. All the competition that's out there, you guys park it right here on the Sound Off channel. I got you covered, as I have for 14 years. I got you covered for 14 more. We'll talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between. So thank you all. You guys have blown me away with all your Super Chat love tonight. This has to be the biggest Super Chat stream I've ever had. And we've had some big ones. So thank you, all of our new channel members, everybody who dropped in for all the breaking news. Thank you again for 14 awesome years. let's keep doing it. Next year, we got the 15-year anniversary, so we'll have to do something really special for next year. I haven't figured out what that's going to be yet. I have to give that some thought, but we will. I'm sure we'll do it up. And until then, be well, stay safe, have yourselves a great week. I'm gonna go get some rest and go get all the editing done and everything here, so we can get the audio out on the feed tomorrow. And I will be back with you live again tomorrow night for the Rampage stream and any other breaking news there might be. Until then, thanks for the anniversary love, and you guys are the best. I got the best fans in the world. See you tomorrow night. Take care, guys.